This paladin is so despicable. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51, loading an expansion pack. Gods are very difficult to kill. Mortals' attack methods are generally difficult to cause real harm to gods. After all, their life forms are different. It's like punching and kicking a person's shadow, which can't hurt the person at all. In order to hunt gods with mortal bodies, in addition to finding the right methods, many external factors must be gathered. However, it is much easier to let gods kill gods. The goddess of holy light shot the primordial fire away, and then chased him in midair. Primordial fire has basically given up resistance at this moment. Although they are both gods, the goddess of holy light is the final winner of the war of gods and the mainstream belief on the continent. There is more than one level difference between the two. Not to mention, I'm now in the mortal base camp. Not to mention, whether I can beat them. Even the possibility of running away is very small. Fortunately, the part of the body of the god that came to the world is only a part. It's a pity to give up, but at least my life can be saved. But, are some people too much? The man who just pretended to be his believer. He actually cheered him up. He waved his arms, and veins popped out of his neck. He was so sincere that his voice was hoarse. He was shouting something loudly. Don't lose. Brother God with purple fire all over his body. If you don't know, you might think he is a loyal and fanatical believer who will never change. But if I remember correctly, it was he who caused me to fall into this situation. Puff. The spear of light pierced the body of the god of primordial fire, taking away the little divinity he had left. As his body fell, the consciousness of his incarnation gradually became blurred. The goddess of holy light won the victory without any surprise. When she turned around, she saw Wright, one of the 3 people watching the show, giving money to the remaining 2 people with a disappointed look on his face, and mumbling to himself. I didn't expect that. I couldn't even hold out for half an hour of prayer. Damn it. This is a big loss. Go to hell. Afra couldn't bear it anymore and smashed the light spear in her hand. Facing the goddess's angry attack, Light just stretched out her finger and nailed the light spear in the air. With a light stroke, the light spear turned into a rain of light that fell into the area. Those people who were injured by the battle of the 2 gods were treated and thanked the goddess of light again. The goddess of light Afra had to restrain her anger in front of the people, squeeze out a commercial expression, and appease her believers. Taking advantage of this time, the light trio had already run to the place where the original fire fell. Looking at the burning purple black flame, Light showed a satisfied smile. Lilith took out Stoker's god and demon Atlas and was about to seal it, but was stopped. What's wrong? I told you, I'm going to play a different way today. What do you want to do? I've almost finished studying the operating mechanism of the gods and demons Atlas, so I made an enhanced version in my private server, and today I'm just trying to see the effect. But before that, Wright suddenly reached out and pressed on Emily's head, forcibly closing the summoning circle. At this moment, Afra was about to turn around and settle accounts with Wright, but she took a step forward, and her shadow turned into a sky full of light spots. People sighed. The goddess is so cool, and her exit is clean, neat and gorgeous. Love it. Seeing this scene, Emily was stunned. You are too bold. Just force it to be removed. The goddess will be furious. Oh, too many lies don't bite. Too many debts don't worry. Anyway, I have the holy shackles on me, so she can't scold me, even if she wants to. Besides, I helped her defeat such a big cult, taught so many believers, and left a new legend in Shengan town. She should thank me, right? Wright raised his hand and pointed it at the dying primordial fire. The most important thing is that the next scene is not suitable for the goddess. With a buzzing sound, it seemed that something was activated. Infinite suction came from Wright's palm, and this part of the primordial fire's body began to decompose and be absorbed into it. Then, Wright's other hand spread upwards, and a ring-shaped object composed of fire element continued to improve and grow in rotation. Finally, when the primordial fire's body was completely absorbed, a broken ring formed on Wright's palm. Wright put it in front of him and looked at it and finally nodded slightly. After all, it is a product of the gods. Although the laws are not complete, general fire magic should be fine. Even Lilith couldn't hold back. You, what did you just do? Didn't I say it? It's the same principle as the god and demon atlas, but I saved the contents in my private server. In principle, it's the same as those divine spells. It's just that there are more contents this time. I have divided a separate area, so it's like loading an expansion pack. While Wright was talking, a magic ring of light appeared on his other hand. Under his control, the magic ring of light slowly shrank, and the magic ring of fire slowly grew. Then he clapped his hands, and the two magic rings fit together perfectly. This operation made Emily's eyes go straight. You, what did you do again? As you can see, even if you see this kind of thing, you can't understand it. Wright controlled the magic ring of light and fire, and immediately condensed a fireball. Emily frowned, still at a loss. Isn't this the fireball spell? You used it before, when you only had one magic ring. As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement, experts watch the doorway. Your performance proves that your magic skills are still far from enough. Lilith, what do you think? Lilith pondered for a moment. The speed seems to have increased. I remember that the last time you coaxed that little girl named Flander, your casting was obviously not that smooth. Light nodded. First of all, that's not called coaxing, that's called well-intentioned enlightenment. Secondly, you are right, there is indeed a delay, about 0.3 seconds. This delay may not make any difference to ordinary magicians, but for masters, it is an obvious fatal flaw. But now, with the combination of the firing, if the two rings are running together, the delay can be shortened to 0.002. Moreover, this is when the firing is incomplete. If the firing is complete, the delay will be further reduced, so small that it can be almost ignored. And there is another advantage. With two magic rings running at the same time, the element exchange ratio can be easily increased from the original 1.3:1 to 1.1:1, and it can be even lower in the future. Lower latency is more cost effective. Lilith had a strange expression after hearing this. You should leave some room for the god of light. How can you still cut costs so much? Emily also jumped out quickly. Before that, please leave a way out for us magicians. If you do this, won't all clergy become magicians? No. If you collect magic rings of all element, then won't all clergy become full system magicians? Wright put the light and fire magic ring in front of him, full of confidence. No. Not only clergy, but even ordinary magicians can become full system magicians. For example, if you are a wind magician, you can use the wind and fire magic ring to pretend to be a fire magician. Emily looked disappointed. I always feel that there is nothing to be happy about discovering that I'm a full system magician. But at this moment, Wright narrowed his eyes slightly, and I don't know what he was thinking. Impersonating, alas. Two beauties, the night is long, and I have no mood to sleep. Do you want to go out with me and rob someone? Chapter 52, Robbery. Be professional. Updated third time. Robbery is actually a profession that requires very high professional qualities. And the most important thing about professional qualities is uniform clothing. High in the sky, Wright, sitting on the back of a giant holy crow, was giving Emily a robbery training class. Even if you don't want to wear night clothes, wear a black mask. At least you have to wear black clothes. Look at what you're wearing. It's so conspicuous. You don't even have the most basic respect for this industry. Emily was not convinced at all. We ride on your big glowing badge to rob others. It's already high profile enough. How can my clothes have any impact? There's no way. I don't have mount. Right side, miscalculated. Why haven't I thought about getting a cool mount in the past 3 years? Lilith rolled her eyes, because every time you see rare and exotic animals, your first reaction is not to ride them, but whether this thing tastes good and what effects it has after eating. Wright picked his ears and spread his hands. Family heirloom, what should I do? There is also a book in my hometown that specifically records the effects of eating rare and exotic animals. Even the address is written in great detail, for fear that others will not be able to find it. What happened in the end? They were eaten to extinction. I didn't leave any written records, which is already a contribution to the world's species diversity. Emily sighed helplessly. I say, are we really going to rob the pilgrims of various countries? If we are caught, it will be a felony. You also said that being caught is a felony. Wright stood up and stretched. I'm a fire magician now. Even if they are attacked, it is difficult for them to suspect me. Even if they suspect me, there is no evidence. As for you, after the fight, you can change to another element as a facade. People can't put all their cards on the table. The ones that are easier to match with the wind. One is ice, the other is fire, and the earth is half. I personally recommend ice, because it can help me make shaved ice and ice cream in summer. Although I don't know what these two things are, let me refuse. The giant holy crow composed of light element flew very fast, and soon they arrived near the destination. Wright jumped directly from the air, and Lilith was naturally no problem. Emily hesitated, but with a blessing of wind magic, she jumped down with it. As for the holy raven, Wright had it disguised as a meteor and disappear, so as not to arouse other people's suspicion. Taking advantage of the thick night, the three people continued to fall from the sky. When they were about to land, Wright easily used the gushing power of the fire element to stabilize his body. The stability of his landing was even better than Emily's, who manipulated the wind magic. After all, it was a top-level mental power, and the manipulation of element was much higher than Emily, a fake 5th level magician. After the three of them landed, Wright opened his hands. With a wave of mental power, a dark barrier with a diameter of 5 meters completely enveloped the three people. Wow. How did you do it? Stupid, do you still need to ask? Wouldn't it be better to expel the light element around you? Wright led the two people to quietly cross the hillside and continue to advance towards the front station. The night was dim, and coupled with their perfect camouflage, the camp in the distance did not notice that someone was quietly approaching. Wright observed it for a while and waved his hand. This one doesn't seem to be the right one. Let's shift our strategy. You're still picking it? Lilith knew him best and couldn't help but sneer. He is looking for the envoy of the First Empire of Saint Racina. What robbery? I think you just came out to pick a fight with them and then delay the Lancer Princess from entering the holy city, right? Wright looked at Lilith and smacked his lips. I've told you many times. It's better for everyone if you see through it, but don't say it out loud. Oh, so that's what's going on. Wright was surprised. How do you know? Weren't you away when we talked that day? Lilith told me. Girls like to talk about these things. Emily poked Wright's arm with her finger curiously. Hey, Wright, what kind of grievances do you have with the Saint Rose? Why did you expel her in the end? I know. Is it from love to hate? Wright backhanded her forehead. Are you in love? There is more than just love between men and women. Yes, I expelled her at the beginning. But the difference between her and me is entirely due to political differences. Emily rubbed her forehead and pouted. What political views can the Holy See have? You are lying to me again. Why would I lie to you? Wright explained as he led the two of them to find the target. As you know, the Holy Light Church is now the only Orthodox faith on the continent. There are so many empires, kingdoms, and principalities in the human world, and basically all of them have become holy vassal states. Therefore, the power system in the human world is that the Holy Light Church is superior to all holy vassal states. Although the church may interfere in the internal affairs of the holy vassal states to a certain extent, the country is basically ruled by the royal power. Therefore, the power framework is from divine power to religious power, and then to the royal power of each country. Can you understand this? Emily nodded repeatedly. I know. Our Principality of St. Grant is like this. The country is managed by the royal family and nobles, but the bishops and the servants of God in various places also have a certain say. But Vanessa, who was born in an imperial family, doesn't think so. She thinks the current division of power is too vague. The religious power says that it will not interfere with the royal power's rule over the people, but in fact, there are often frictions between the two sides, and there are many areas with unclear boundaries, which has caused a lot of trouble. She thinks that a better and more efficient system should be changed. Emily hurriedly asked, what system? Wright sighed. She thinks that the royal power should be greater than the religious power. The clergy and bishops of each country should be loyal to the royal power, serve in the dynasty, and be bound by the laws of each country. Then, The royal power will be directly loyal to the divine power, so that the holy city and the Pope will become spiritual symbols and no longer have real power. The power system has become from divine power to the royal power of each country, and then to the religious power of each country. In other words, the royal power is granted by God, and the religious power is granted by the monarch. Emily frowned after hearing this. This is simply a huge change. I can't say whether this structure is good or not, but I feel that this new order cannot be established without reshuffling the entire human world. Wright looked at her approvingly. Yes, as a noble, you still have the political judgment you should have. Moreover, it is not just a matter of rebuilding order. As a princess of the First Empire of the Holy Land, and one of the 5 apprentice saints, she openly advocated weakening the real power of the Pope and making the Holy City a symbol. Isn't this just a pure provocation? Because of her, the relationship between the First Empire and the Holy City deteriorated sharply. I stood up for world peace and for the stability of both sides. In the way of private grievances, this woman exiled. Oh. Emily made an admirable voice and then twisted his face and looked at Lilith aside. What about the real version? For the stinky man, she prefers the fragrant girl. I will add a blessing. Hush. Lilith made a snoring action towards the two, pointing to the camp in front. Look, the St. Rose Cavaliers group flag. Let's find it. Thank you for your monthly ticket, reward, and recommendation ticket. Huangdao will definitely update more in the future to give back to everyone. Chapter 53. Are you really professional? Seeking follow-up reading. Wright looked in the direction of Lilith's finger, and sure enough, there were 2 flags flying in the camp ahead. One was the flag of the First Empire, and the other was a milky white regimental flag embroidered with golden roses. Strange. Wright frowned slightly, looking puzzled. Emily couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" I didn't feel Vanessa's life energy. The combat effectiveness of the others is not high. There is one beginner saint, 4/5, and the remaining 30 are all 4th. That's not high. What a terrible configuration. Many of the Imperial Royal Guard Knights are not at this level. Wright shook his head. When Vanessa left the Holy City, she was the one with the highest realm among the other 9 people, only half a step away from the saint rank. And she has a very high aptitude, otherwise she would not have been listed as one of the trainee saints. You know, people of royal blood in various countries cannot serve in the upper echelons of the church. This is a rule set by the first pope. According to my calculations, she should be at least in the late saint rank now, or she should have touched the threshold of the legendary realm. Emily immediately backed down. Are the 3 of us going to rob a knight's rank with this configuration? Are you still asleep, or am I? Lilith shook Wright impatiently. Okay. Isn't it better if she's not here? It also reduces the risk of being recognized. Anyway, your target is not her, so finish the work quickly. We can still make up for the sleep when we go back. Wright nodded slightly. Okay, we will go out later. I will be responsible for frontal fire suppression. Emily, you will be responsible for destroying their carriages and supplies. Wait a minute. Aren't we robbing? Shouldn't we rob things? How did it become simple destruction? Since we want to simply destroy, why not sneak attack? Wright rejected this proposal righteously. I, Wright, have been upright all my life. How can I do such an indecent thing as a sneak attack? Robbery is upright. Decent? Exclamation mark. Can you not be so flexible with your vague moral bottom line? Lilith grabbed Emily, who was filled with righteous indignation. Don't take him seriously, because you will be led into his thinking logic, and eventually your brain will be tied into a knot. Let him play whatever he wants. We just need to watch quietly. Then when he flips over, we can laugh at him as much as we want. A word of enlightenment awakened the dreamer. Emily held Lilith's hand with shining eyes. Yes, that makes sense. Seeing that the 2 women reached a consensus, Wright couldn't help but roll his eyes and then led them to the gate of the Holy Rose Knights camp. Emily broke free from Wright's hand and tidied her clothes. Then what are you going to do? Wright summoned the light and fire magic ring and then condensed a ball of fire and threw it into the air of the camp with a sound of boom. The fireball exploded like a firework and the whole camp was illuminated. Under Emily's incomprehensible gaze, Wright took a deep breath and roared at the camp. Robbery. Is there anyone breathing? Get out of here. The voice echoed in the camp. followed by heavy footsteps and the friction of heavy armor. Less than 30 seconds after Wright's fireball exploded, the 36 female paladins of the Holy Rose Knights were fully armed with holy shields and spears, waiting at the entrance of the camp. Wright was a little surprised. Wow, do these people sleep in armor at night? The leading female knight pointed her spear at the distance. Who are you? What do you want to do? Listen up. We are 3 vicious robbers, and we are here to rob you today. The female knight looked strange. Fight, rob. Yes. Cars pass by and crush the road. Horses pass by and chew grass. Paying tolls is your obligation. However, when Wright finished shouting the business slogan, the Holy Rose Knights on the opposite side fell into a strange silence. Wright froze in place and then slowly leaned back. What's going on? Why don't they react? Did I say the wrong words just now? Emily held her staff and shook her head repeatedly. Don't ask me. Aren't you professionals? Lilith also frowned. It should be correct. How about you try another sentence? Yes, yes, yes. Ahem. Wright once again took his position and roared loudly. This mountain is opened by me. This tree is planted by me. If you want to pass through here, leave money for passage. However, after the slogan was shouted, the other side still maintained a strange silence. Wright was a little bit overwhelmed and leaned back quietly. What's going on? Isn't this okay? Why don't they speak? Emily scratched her head. Although I have never robbed or been robbed. But there is nothing wrong with this. The atmosphere is very awkward. Are they looking at me? Are they already laughing? Is my face red? Don't be nervous. You are wearing a mask. At this time, the leading female knight finally spoke. Well, we're robbing, right? We're charging tolls, right? But, we're not planning to pass through. At least not now. If you want to charge tolls, you should at least wait until we start on the road tomorrow, right? The air was instantly quiet, and both the robbers and the robbed were silent. In this extremely embarrassing situation, Wright suddenly turned around and walked back. Then he turned around and walked over quickly, posing the same posture as before. Listen up. We are 3 vicious robbers, and we're here to rob you today. Emily was dumbfounded. What do you mean? Just jump back to the beginning and do it all over again, as if what just happened didn't happen. You'd better have some shame. Lilith gave a thumbs up from the bottom of her heart. Okay, even though we've been together for so long, you still redefine what it means to have a high psychological quality. Unexpectedly, the leader of the opposite female knight group was very cooperative. It turned out to be a vicious robber. I'm Helen Crowell, the deputy commander of the Holy Rose Knights. Wright leaned back happily. Hey, this girl is unexpectedly a good person. She helped us out. Emily's face was full of disgust. Not us. It's you. Besides, I'm a paladin, a good person. Mr. Vicious Robber, hurry up and move on. Don't let my kindness down. Wright stood up straight, but fell silent. Seeing this, Emily came up quickly. Speak. Because the usual routine doesn't work, I didn't think of what to say next for a while. Are you really a professional? Fortunately, at this time, the deputy commander Helen spoke again. This robber, sir, may I ask what you are going to rob? Oh, yes, yes. I'm going to rob something. Wright touched his chin and fell silent again. Seeing this, Emily was about to collapse. Why don't you say something? Stop making noise. Isn't it forbidden to rob people for tolls? I'm thinking about what to rob. I just told you to think it over in advance. You didn't listen. What about now? Still professional? I shouldn't believe a word you say. Rape. Lilith stepped forward in the crisis. We want rape. Unexpectedly, Helen burst out laughing. Ms. Lilith still likes to joke. Is it true? Your Highness Wright, are you planning to rape people? Your Highness Jonah will be sad if you do this. But our princess will have a chance. Chapter 54. The robber's sense of belief. Faced with Vice Captain Helen's inquiry, Wright naturally denied it. You've got the wrong person, Your Highness. Stop struggling. The straw men used by our knights for training have your portrait on them. Not to mention that you are wearing a mask. Even if you only show your hairline, we can easily recognize you. Besides, I'm a member of the first batch of the Holy Rose Knights, and I joined the army in the Holy City. Miss Lilith, I know you, right? After his identity was exposed, Wright froze in place again, and the scene fell silent. Emily couldn't stand the awkward atmosphere and stepped forward to ask again. Hey, we've been recognized. Do we still want to continue? Or? Before Emily finished speaking, Wright suddenly turned around and walked back, then turned around and strode over, posing the same posture as before. Hey, listen up. We are 3 vicious robbers, and we are here to rob you today. Emily collapsed. Come again. Are you done yet? Didn't we do it once just now? Robbery. Are you breathing? Get out of here. What the hell is going back a little bit? Do you think the current problem is caused by not going back enough? Wright ignored her and continued to roar. Okay, we will go out later. I will be responsible for frontal fire suppression, and you will be responsible for destroying their carriages and accompanying supplies. How far do you plan to go back? If you go back any further, it will be before departure. Do it, idiot. Oh. Wright had already gathered the magic element and blasted over. Emily raised her staff belatedly and began to chant the spell. Enemy attack. Deputy Captain Helen roared. Form a formation. Defend. Facing the legendary Holy Evil, the Holy Rose Knights dare not slack off. All the female knights put up half-human high shields. As the platinum-colored holy light and fighting spirit surged, a huge holy shield was formed, covering the entire knight group. The next moment, a terrifying meteor rain of fire fell from the sky, roaring and roaring on the holy shield. Along with the rain of fire, there were also lingering fire snakes and continuous roaring fireballs. These magics seemed to have no pause at all, and they kept hitting the holy shield like a torrential rain. The girls of the Holy Rose Knights could only grit their teeth and hold on. They were pressed to the ground and allowed to be ravaged by Wright without any chance to fight back. The raging winddraw finally took shape and hit the holy shield hard. The wind helped the fire, and the fire increased the wind's power. The holy shield was immediately shaky. Emily waved her staff and shouted, "Why don't you attack them from below? I remember that fire spells have magma corridors and hellfire seas, which can attack from below." Stupid. Who told you to hit them? I told you to destroy the baggage. We are robbers, not perverted murderers. I'm nervous. Emily waved her staff hurriedly, and with the gust of wind, she bypassed the knights trapped by the magic rain of fire, and rushed into their camp. Then, it was a crazy rampage. Assault tornado. Swift wind blades. The kiss of the wind god. Irregular cutting. Emily, who had been fighting to the death in the elemental plane, and had been hunted down and suppressed, was like a wild horse at this moment, frantically destroying everything in front of her with wind magic. For a moment, she actually had some of the demeanor of a witch. Soon, the entire camp became a ruin. That's enough. Fortunately, Lilith came to her side and held down her staff that she raised again. It's time to go. Wright can't hold on anymore. Impossible. It's not that Wright can't hold on anymore. If we wait any longer, the Holy Rose Knights will be half mature. The goal has been achieved, and we have to leave. Emily flew back with Lilith in disinterest. Seeing this, Wright drew a circle with the magma corridor, and then wrapped it with the Hellfire Sea. After making sure that the other party couldn't catch up, he rode the flames into the air. Let me tell you, this is what happens if you don't cooperate with the robbers. Emily was so angry that she laughed. Your Highness Wright. Do you have such a strong sense of belief? The play has been messed up to this extent, and you still don't forget to finish it? Wright held his head high, because I have read an actor's self-cultivation. Besides, today's action is perfect. What's perfect? Is your understanding of perfection seriously distorted? Wright's face was dark. I say, I'm your current protector after all, and my status is also an apprentice saint. You eat my food, and live in my place, and you are so arrogant under my protection. Who of us is twisted? Emily was in a complicated mood. I'm sorry, but to be honest, Your Highness, what you have done is hard to make people respect you. Even if a little bit of admiration is finally spawned, you will destroy it completely within 3 minutes with completely incomprehensible weird behavior. To be honest, after repeating it several times, I found that I have become much more indifferent to life. After flying a certain distance, Light used Holy Light to transform into a giant holy crow, carrying the 3 people, to fly towards the direction of the holy city. Looking at the lonely figure sitting in front, Emily's heart tightened. She felt that she had indeed gone a little too far tonight. Looking back on the time when the two met, Light had actually been protecting herself and urging herself to become stronger. Although he did things in a crazy way, he was always a remarkable person. So, she slowly moved over and bumped Light with her shoulder. "Hey, Your Highness, I actually didn't mean anything else. You've been very nice to me, and I'm very grateful to you. I promise that I will respect you more in the future. What are you writing?" Light quickly hid the note behind him, but Lilith snatched it away and handed it to Emily. "You're still hiding it from us. Let me see what's written. Plan for strengthening Emily's elemental trial? You want to increase the intensity for me?" Wright cleared his throat and said, "Well, I think you're making good progress now. You performed the wind magic just now in a very good way. Since you're almost done with the first stage, of course you need to strengthen your training. I think you think my way of dying isn't colorful enough." Emily was so angry that the note in her hand burned without fire. Wright couldn't help but give her a thumbs up when he saw this. "Great. I didn't expect you to learn fire elemental magic without a teacher. It seems that my previous suggestion to strengthen the ice element was not so accurate. Then when you go back, start special training on the two sub-elemental planes of wind and fire. You're deliberately seeking revenge. I protest." Wright ignored her and turned to look at Lilith on the side. "What's wrong? What are you thinking about?" "Huh? No, I was just thinking that something seems a little wrong." Lilith looked back and said, "Those female knights rested in armor at night, obviously on guard. And when you two attacked the camp, none of the envoys from other countries nearby came to help. This is very unusual. Either Vanessa had guessed that there might be an attack, so she greeted the nearby camps in advance. Or, the surrounding camps tacitly agreed that they were very strong and did not need help. But in either case, it is very strange that Vanessa, as the strongest combat force, is not in the camp." Wright nodded repeatedly and said sincerely, "That's why I asked Emily to strengthen training to deal with the unknown." Lilith rolled her eyes. "Don't take advantage of her. What crisis can she deal with? You are just taking revenge for personal gain." But to be honest, Vanessa may really have a backup plan. She came to the Holy City, and it must be more than just to attend the triennial Crying Paw conference. We must be more careful. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Troublesome Woman. After returning to the manor in the Holy City, Wright did not say anything and set up a composite barrier array for Emily in an empty room on the second floor overnight. This array has a complete range of functions. It can help Emily randomly open different elemental subspaces and add multiple sets of life blessings to them. In addition, 3 tests must be carried out before entering the subspace to ensure that Emily can continue to challenge the magician. Persist for 100 seconds. 2.0 version. In fact, Wright did not need to add so many safety tests. After all, he had set more than 30 holy light spells on Emily. Among them, there are many holy and super level spells, and even several forbidden spells. It is difficult for her to die. But for the safety of the other party's life, Wright still made full preparations. Then, he kicked Emily into an unknown elemental subspace and turned around to go back to his room to sleep. Even Lilith, who is a demon, sighed at his strong psychological quality. Originally, Wright wanted to sleep a little longer after tossing so late. Unfortunately, Lilith woke him up early in the morning to make breakfast. Demons don't need sleep. After all, the division of day and night in the demon world is irregular. The reason why Lilith's biological clock is more punctual than Wright's is because she likes to eat the food he cooks. And with Wright's strength, he doesn't need to sleep or even eat. But he believes in the health habits of his hometown, and he emphasizes sleeping when the sun goes down and waking up when the sun goes down, eating 3 meals a day, and enjoying life. So he has always maintained a good life and work schedule. After busying himself in the kitchen, Wright put the breakfast on a plate and brought it to the dining table. "I made 3 servings. Go call Emily. She is only level 5. She still needs to eat. TSK level 5 still needs daily rest. You tormented her so much last night. Lilith was reluctant to move and shouted at the top of her voice, Emily, come down to eat. Will you be exhausted to death by going there? What if she didn't die in the elemental subspace? I can also feel the fluctuations of people's lives. Okay. Not long after, the sound of stairs coming down the living room came, and Emily walked into the dining room with a tired face. Poof. Wright just took a sip of milk and spit it out the moment he saw Emily. You. What's wrong with you? Why are you wearing such cool clothes? At this moment, Emily had her hair loose and her eyes were blank. She was only wearing a pair of pants with the legs cut off on the lower body and a sleeveless belly exposing top on the upper body. Wright never thought that he would see hot pants and belly exposing suspenders in this world. What's the point of wearing clothes tightly? They will still be chopped into pieces, burned, and electrocuted. We have to buy new ones every time, which is troublesome and time consuming. Emily spread her hands, so I cut it myself and tried to reduce the fabric as much as possible. If I don't wear it, I won't have to worry about it being ruined. Hey, it's very dangerous to develop this idea. Is your brain abnormal? Lilith sighed faintly beside her. If you die several times a minute, normal will become abnormal. Emily was still immersed in her own world at this time, and I found that humans can also sense the existence of magical element. Why are those elemental creatures better at manipulating element than us material creatures? It's because their whole body can resonate with the element. If we want to defeat elemental creatures, clothes and other things must be given up. Wright stuffed half a fried dough stick in her mouth. Eat. Miss, I have studied the topics of material creatures and energy creatures more deeply than you. Put on your clothes for me after dinner. I'll give you 2 days off. Just stroll around the commercial street and relax. Lilith, take her back to buy some decent clothes. Spend as much as you want. Whatever. It's my duty. Just as Lilith was imagining a wonderful life of shopping in the commercial street every day, a familiar shout came from outside. Boss. Boss. Something bad has happened. Taylor? Wright stood up while chewing a dough stick. You two eat first. I'll go see what's going on. He walked out of the small building quickly and opened the iron gate of the manor with a wave of his hand. After Taylor entered the door, he hurriedly trotted to Wright. Boss, it's bad. Vanessa is coming. I know. The teacher told me about it 2 days ago. Oh, no. Vanessa will be in the Holy City soon. The 2 archbishops have already brought the relevant personnel of the 3 major churches and the permanent members of the temple council to the Holy Square to welcome her. What? Wright shook his head repeatedly. No, this is impossible. I just destroyed all the baggage vehicles of their Holy Rose Knights last night and razed the camp to the ground. It will take at least half a month for them to re-equip vehicles and supplies and then go to the Holy City. She came alone. Wright couldn't help but sneer when he heard it. If she comes alone, then it's okay. Even if she comes as a special envoy of the delegation, she can't cause any trouble if she is alone. The 3 major churches, the Pope's Palace and the Holy Knights are all my people. The defense of the entire Holy City has been taken over by your new Holy Army. There are also Adros and his men maintaining it in secret. What can she do to fight me alone? Seeing what Wright said, Taylor's mood stabilized. Boss, the Pope asked you to go and greet them as well. After all, you are now the highest authority in the Holy City. You still have to respect the envoys from various countries. Now that you mention it, where is my holy man badge? Wright fumbled for a long time before he found the medal and hung it on his chest. Okay, I'll go and ridicule her. At this time, Lilith also poked her head out of the window. I want to go too. We both want to go. Are you eavesdropping again? You can go if you want. Ask the one inside to put on his clothes. Taylor pulled him. Boss, let's go first. It will be troublesome if the other party arrives and you are not there. You also know that the First Empire and our Holy See do not have a very good relationship. If they find a handle on us and make trouble in diplomacy, we will suffer. Wright snorted coldly. I think the First Empire deserves to be dealt with. They were not ordinary honest during the 2 years I was in the Holy City. Okay, don't pull me. Lilith, we'll go first. Remember, it's the Holy Square. Wright's manor is in a prime location in the Holy City, not far from the famous Holy Square. At Taylor's urging, he hurried to the square. At this time, the senior officials of various institutions in the Holy See had already arrived. After seeing Wright's arrival, everyone felt relieved. Now that the Holy See is in trouble and the Pope is ill, although the entire Holy City is still calm, there is a sense of crisis, that a storm is about to come. These high-ranking officials of the Holy See are not fools, and naturally they have smelled the smell of danger. Fortunately, at this time, Wright came back to stabilize the situation and presided over the overall situation, and everyone slowly put their minds at ease. Everyone understands that, no matter how much he tosses and turns, he always stands firm on major issues. Facing the aggressive princess of the First Empire, it is indeed much safer with him around. Wright stood in the chief position and suddenly frowned. Oh, right, Taylor. What's wrong, brother? Don't we welcome the delegation at the entrance of the East Main Gate? Why do we have to come to the Holy Square? I don't know. Vanessa sent a magic scroll to the Holy See, asking everyone to come here. What right does she have to change it at will? Before Wright finished speaking, a huge black shadow suddenly passed through the sky. Everyone looked up and exclaimed, "Dragon! It's a giant dragon! Look! White and gold scales. 2 pairs of wings. That elegant posture. It's the legendary Holy Dragon of Light. Look. On the dragon's back. There seems to be a person." Wright looked at the Holy Dragon of Light soaring in the sky and the cavalry on the dragon's back, and frowned slightly. TSK, things are getting troublesome. Chapter 56. I read the Spring and Autumn Annals, seeking follow-up reading. Looking at the Holy Dragon of Light soaring in the sky, Wright's brain was working rapidly. At this moment, the Cardinal came over and lowered his voice. "Right, it seems that Vanessa has bad intentions. You Red Church didn't know such important information about the Holy Dragon of Light." Archbishop Delman sighed helplessly. "The Red Church has tried very hard. You also know that the situation of the church in the First Empire is not good." Taylor was confused. "What's wrong? What do you mean? Why is she here with bad intentions?" Delman glared at him fiercely. "Taylor, you little brat, did you all skip the history of the development of the Holy See class? There is an ancient contract between our Holy Light Church and Dragon Island. During the War of the Gods, Her Highness the Holy Light Goddess signed a contract with the powerful Dragon Island in order to gain an absolute advantage in the mortal battlefield. The Dragon Clan helped the Holy Light Goddess win the mortal battlefield, and the Holy Light Church will guarantee the Dragon Clan's transcendent status in the world in the future. After the contract was reached, the Dragon Clan selected qualified people from the Holy Light camp to become Dragon Knights, and laid the foundation for victory with absolute combat power. According to the contract, the Dragon Knight is a representative of Dragon Island. If the Dragon Knight is willing, he can join the Temple Council and conditionally and directly obtain a seat as a permanent director. To ensure that the rights and interests of Dragon Island and the Dragon Clan are protected. If it is the Holy Dragon Knight of Light, then the other party can even directly become the vice president of the council. Wright narrowed his eyes slightly. Dragon Island has been secluded for 1,000 years. 100 years ago, they besieged the Tower of Truth, and they only provided a few dragon language scrolls. There were no dragons themselves, let alone dragon knights. She hid this hand deep enough. First, she evaded the Oath of the Year as a special envoy of the mission, and now she has returned gorgeously as the Holy Dragon Knight of Light, and became the vice president of the temple. Taylor slapped his thigh. "Boss, the Temple Council has not elected a president of the council for many years." Then, she was promoted to vice president after she came. In addition to her identity as the eldest princess of the First Empire, the fence-sitters in the temple are afraid that they will follow her lead. Wright had a blank expression. "Well, you finally reacted." Delman's face was full of worry. In the early years, the Temple Council was a powerful institution that could compete with the 3 major cathedrals and the Pope's palace. It took us many years to slowly disintegrate the alliance of these troublemakers. If Vanessa can unite these fence-sitters, it will be really troublesome. By the way, why doesn't she come down? Wright rolled his eyes. "Glorious return. Shouldn't you show off for a while?" He took a step forward, gathering holy light in his hands, and his consciousness immediately locked onto the giant dragon hovering in the sky. The posture was obvious. If you don't come down, I will blow you down. Everyone present saw it, but one or two chose to ignore it. This can't be stopped, otherwise I will be the one to be blown up. The Lancer Princess in the sky also felt the threat and immediately controlled the giant dragon to start landing. Even though 4 years have passed, she still believes that the other party is a man who does what he says. When the holy dragon of light landed, a burst of light flashed. Its huge dragon body actually kept shrinking, and finally turned into a girl with dragon horns and a dragon tail. The 2 pairs of wings behind her wrapped around her body and turned into close-fitting clothes. Next to the dragon girl was Vanessa, who had short silver hair and was heroic. The close-fitting armor wrapped around her tall and attractive curves, and her handsome and beautiful face exuded a charm that appealed to both men and women. Although he was not very willing, as the current person in charge of the holy city, Wright still came forward with Taylor. Hello, Princess Vanessa Pedras. Hello, His Royal Highness Saint Wright. Hello, His Royal Highness Saint Taylor. On behalf of the Holy Light Church, I sincerely welcome you. I forgot the rest of the words, so let's stop here with the polite words. As you wish, I don't want to continue. After the official dialogue ended, the people behind Wright surrounded him all of a sudden. Obviously, the permanent directors and secretaries of the Temple Council were the most enthusiastic. Taylor couldn't help shaking his head and sighed. TSK, boss, look at the performance of these people. They seem to have received the news a long time ago. I didn't expect that the confidentiality work was done well. Look at their flattering appearance. Even dogs would shake their heads when they saw it. Wright held his head and said, "It was my mistake. I underestimated them. I thought it was just a septic tank, but I didn't expect them to find a shit stirrer. Now it's good. I'm going to be disgusted several times." Taylor patted him on the shoulder. "Brother, it's okay. What else can she do to you? Archbishop Cardivin, can you come over?" Vanessa in the crowd suddenly spoke, and the black-robed Archbishop Cardivin felt his heart tighten and reluctantly stood up. "Your Highness, what's the matter?" "Archbishop, you are too polite. Just call me Vanessa as before." After the Lancer Princess finished her polite and smiling remarks, she immediately became furious. "Archbishop Cardivin, I want to accuse. Our country's delegation was shamelessly attacked last night. We have passed through the Holy Tower, and the place where the incident occurred should be under the jurisdiction of the Holy City. Archbishop, please give our country's delegation an explanation." Crash. Almost everyone turned their heads in unison and looked at Wright on the side. Archbishop Cardivin looked unhappy. He coughed twice and said, "This and that. The security around our holy city has always been very good. An attack or something like that is impossible." "Princess Vanessa, is there any misunderstanding here?" "Absolutely no misunderstanding. I took Galado out to find food at that time, and when I came back, I found that the camp of our Holy Rose Knights was completely destroyed. After listening to the report of my knights, I was very angry. The perpetrator was very arrogant. He actually attacked our knight's camp head on and claimed that he was a vicious robber. The most annoying thing is, he even wanted to rape her." Crash. Everyone's eyes were focused on Wright's face again. Vanessa continued to accuse. "Of course, the girls of my knights rejected the other party's request with righteous words. As a result, the other party was furious and used fire magic to bombard the members of my knights, and instructed his accomplice, a female wind magician, to destroy our camp. Then, he left. Arrogant attitude. Bad nature. Archbishop Cardwin must find out the truth and bring the criminals to justice." Facing everyone's third look, Wright was not afraid. "What are you looking at?" She said it was 2 magicians who did it. "I'm an apprentice saint, and I have a 100% affinity with the element of light. Everyone present knows this. Besides, I took people to rape at night. Do you believe it? I'm a gentleman. I read the Spring and Autumn Annals." Although everyone didn't know what the Spring and Autumn Annals was, most people were more willing to believe Wright in this matter. After all, Wright often made trouble during his 2 years in the Holy City, but his personal style was still spotless. Even the rumored girlfriend was only Jonah. However, just as everyone was gradually reducing their suspicion of Light, a familiar voice came from outside the crowd. "Light, we are here. Just a big dragon. Oh, by the way, we met Flando on the way." Everyone turned around and saw the petite and cute Lilith, Emily with a great figure, but dressed very coolly, and Flando in a maid outfit, waving at Light. At that moment, Light's eyes gradually lost their luster. Devil. It's a devil. Suddenly, the holy dragon of light Glado, who had been silent all this time, suddenly jumped up. His arms turned into thick dragon claws and rushed towards Lilith. Demon. Destroy. Chapter 57. You survived. Although it had transformed into a human form, the holy dragon of light was extremely powerful in both speed and strength. In just a moment, Glado had already killed Lilith. No one had time to stop it. They only had one thought in their minds. They were going to be in trouble. Boom. However, the next moment, her claw blade stopped 3 inches away from the tip of Lilith's nose and could no longer move. The surging shockwave swept across the scene, knocking back the defenseless people around. Everyone stabilized their bodies in embarrassment and looked back. It turned out that Wright appeared beside Lilith at an incomprehensible speed, holding the dragon girl Glado's wrist tightly with one hand. His eyes were wide open, and his big hand was like an unshakable steel clamp. No matter how hard Glado tried, he couldn't move it a bit. Hey, what do you want to do to my Lilith? Lizard. Wright's voice was very calm, but the murderous aura he revealed was almost condensed into substance. Some people with weak wills almost subconsciously set up holy light shields just in case. The holy dragon of light was so frightened that her face turned pale. She couldn't understand what was happening in front of her. As the top of the food chain, the dragons were praised as the strongest individuals together with Titan, the eldest son of God. Their strength is beyond doubt, and their terror will be sung forever. Some ancient dragons with strong strength and countless years of baptism are even beings that gods have to bypass. Not to mention the holy dragon of light, who has a high status and strong strength. But at this moment, she was not only suppressed by a human, but also felt the threat of death from the other party. The most terrifying thing is that she couldn't even escape, let alone resist. But the pride of the dragon would not allow her to bow her head here. She is a demon. Demons harm people. They are bad things. They should all be killed. Evil dragons also kill people. Shouldn't all dragons be killed too? Vanessa in the distance ran over here quickly. Wait. Right. She is still young. She doesn't understand. Glado. Shut up. Don't talk anymore. Unfortunately, the contract between Dragon Knights is an equal contract. If you really want to look into it, the status of dragons is higher than that of humans. Vanessa's order did not have any restraining effect. Glado raised his head arrogantly. How can the noble dragon race be compared with the dirty demons? You, a lowly human, are also worthy of criticizing our dragon race? Wright did not speak. He was full of strong holy light fighting spirit. His other hand was raised high, and the sword of Sin Light emerged from his palm. He pulled the hand that grabbed the opponent's wrist forward, and with the other hand, he clenched the Sin Light and slashed at Glado's neck. The intention of this posture was obvious, which was to behead. Bang! Vanessa finally rushed over and blocked the blow with both hands holding the sword. However, the terrifying force was not something she could bear. After just one encounter, she knelt on one knee with a bang, and the sword was extremely bent, causing her to use her shoulder to resist Wright's sharp blade. They both have holy light Dao Ki, but in comparison, Wright's Dao Ki is obviously more condensed and mellow. Wait. Right. You can't kill her. Do you know the consequences of slaughtering the holy light dragon? Are you ready to go to war with the dragon clan? You should ask Dragon Island if it is ready to go to war with me. A nest of lizards. Just throw it away. But the Sin Light greatsword vibrated wildly, surging with powerful power. It made Vanessa, who was already struggling, even worse. Right alone, holding the sword with one hand, forced the princess to kneel on the ground, and the dragon girl bowed her head. Right. Archbishops Cadwin and Delman hurried over and patiently advised. Right, the holy day is approaching, and no more big things can happen. Yes, she did do something wrong. Just teach her a lesson. It's not necessary to kill her. Think about Master Constant too. Wright frowned, but still didn't want to raise his hand. At this time, Lilith came up and said, okay, right, I'm fine. Besides, if you really do it, the situation will only get more chaotic. Don't forget, we still have people to save. Wright narrowed his eyes and relaxed his grip a little. Princess Vanessa, I heard that your delegation was attacked last night. Vanessa gritted her teeth, full of resentment. She had planned to use her gorgeous appearance today and the robbery last night to give Wright a hard blow. By the way, she wanted to show her strength and clear the obstacles for the later gathering of the forces of the temple faction. Unexpectedly, she was given a blow by the other party, but at this moment, she could only bow her head and admit defeat. Vanessa was born in a royal family and knew how to judge the situation. When she should bow her head, she did not hesitate at all. No, 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 you may have heard it wrong. It's okay, the best. Wright turned the sword and swung it out suddenly, directly using the sword of sin to blow the two people away, and then left the Holy Land square without looking back. Vanessa and Palado drew two deep grooves on the ground and smashed a sculpture on the edge of the square with a bang. Fortunately, the dragon girl's body is strong, and Vanessa has fighting spirit to protect her body, so she didn't suffer any injuries, but she was inevitably covered in dirt. After Wright left, other people from the non-temple faction also left. Vanessa thought that the people from the temple faction would also leave, but unexpectedly this group of people came over diligently. They helped them up, asked about their well-being, and showed great concern. The strangest thing is that they also expressed their loyalty one by one, as if they were going to follow their lead. Vanessa was happy, but also a little strange, so she found an opportunity to quietly ask a congressman who looked very honest. I'm in this state. Are you still willing to follow me? Of course, Your Highness. The congressman's eyes were full of admiration. But you are still alive, aren't you? Then he pointed to the dragon girl beside him. You also saved her. What a feat. We are willing to follow you. Become your strength. Hearing this answer, Vanessa's heart sank. Although she had obtained the loyalty of the temple counselors, it seemed that they had already been scared by that man. But now, she had no choice. Take me to the temple and convene an emergency parliamentary meeting. I must take office as soon as possible. And her actions have been accurately predicted by Wright. Vanessa will definitely ask the parliament to hold an emergency parliamentary meeting so that she can take the position of vice president as soon as possible. Once she holds the power, she will probably start to make trouble later. As he walked, Wright turned his head and told Taylor, the time she takes to go through the process is our precious time. Go back with Archbishop Cardigan now, and do everything you can to find Ross as soon as possible. Remember, you must meet him in person and convey my order in person. Let him and his men stay still. Don't go out recently. The dragon lady next to her can see through my coating, so she must be able to see through the coating of the Blood Witch. Then, they are likely to clear out the dark race hiding in the capital. If those dark races who have surrendered to Dross are discovered, and he is implicated in the end, we will be passive. Even if we give up the progress of this period, we must ensure safety. Taylor nodded repeatedly. Okay, we will go now. Wright scratched his head and was a little angry. What a troublesome woman. She just came, and it's like cutting off one of my arms. We must find a way to kick her out as soon as possible, otherwise the harm will definitely expand. You want to borrow the power of the temple, right? The temple. Wright suddenly clapped his hands. Got it. Lilith, take them home first. I'll go to the commercial street. Chapter 58 Throwing a Stone to Test the Water, Part 3. In the President's office of the Holy City Commercial Street Federation, Wright and Cardinal Delman sat there quietly, tasting the black tea served by President Grandad himself. Good tea. If I hadn't come with you as my host, I'm afraid that even with my status as Archbishop, I wouldn't be able to drink such top quality black tea. I personally prefer green tea and black tea. In our hometown, green tea is refreshing, and black tea is nourishing. Wright put down the teacup and raised his eyebrows. So, you had to come with me. It's not just for tea, right? The Archbishop laughed dryly. Are you really going to kick Vanessa out as soon as possible? How is that possible? Wright rubbed his fingers. I still want to keep her, so that I can find out the mastermind behind the scenes. The Cardinal also put down the teacup. You really said that on purpose at the time. Wright smiled slightly. When we left, except for the members of the Temple Council, everyone else followed behind us. With so many people, it's hard to guarantee whether there are any spies on the other side. Then you asked Taylor to notify Dross. Is it also for fishing? Rather than fishing, it's more like testing the waters. Wright sat up straight, tapping his fingers rhythmically on the table. Although the First Empire is powerful, I have never heard of any connection between them and the Dragon Clan. Moreover, among all the holy vassal states, the First Empire is a notorious troublemaker and has the worst relationship with the church. In this case, how could the Holy Dragon of Light, whose status is second only to the Holy Goddess of Light in the worship system of the Holy Light Church, appear there and sign a contract with Vanessa? So there must be other forces behind her, providing her with this Holy Dragon of Light and helping her successfully complete the contract. But as for who this force is, it depends on the result of this stone's questioning. The Cardinal nodded repeatedly. Do you have any suspects? The remnants of the truth. I think the same as you. The Cardinal tapped the table with his fingers. In the past 2 years, the First Empire has developed rapidly recently and recruited a large number of magicians and alchemists. Although there is no definite intelligence to prove that these people are related to the remnants of the Tower of Truth. But the deteriorating relationship between the First Empire and the Holy See cannot help but make people suspect this aspect. Do you know that during the battle to destroy the Tower of Truth, the dragon race was willing to hand over those crucial dragon language magic scrolls because the Tower of Truth reached out to the dragon race's ancestral land, the Dragon Tomb. According to my analysis, the Tower of Truth may have touched the dragon race's taboo at that time. Wright nodded slightly. This is the first time I've heard of this. It seems that the Archbishop can still provide some useful information. The Archbishop was very depressed and had to use tea to calm his temper. Wright refilled the Archbishop's tea. It's just a joke, don't mind it. Actually, I was thinking a few days ago that the remnants of the Truth Party made so little noise this time and only sent a few minions to disrupt the situation. Now it seems that it is very likely that this stupid princess and her stupid dragon are the real big move. At present, due to some reasons, her Holy Rose Knights have not been able to come with her for the time being. Then, if she wants to overthrow me by investigating a Dross, she will only have two ways. Either integrate the power of the Temple Council, or continue to rely on the power of the Black Hand behind her. As long as I limit the power of the Temple Council, I can force her to contact the Black Hand behind the scenes. The Red Cardinal observed Wright carefully. What if she is really the remnant of the Truth Party behind her? What are you going to do? Wright's eyes flashed fiercely. If it is just to ensure the smooth holding of the Holy Advent ceremony, it's very simple. Just kill the guys who are in the way. You can't do it. I will. I have plenty of means to keep people alive, but only to the point of being alive. I'm not afraid of Dragon Island or the First Empire. But now, my main goal is only one, that is to remove the witch's curse from Jonah. To do this, I need to force out the mastermind behind the scenes. Dig out all the clues related to the witch from the other party's mind. They have not taken action, and it is actually me who is troubled. Now that I have taken action, I can't wait to be happy. So, you don't have to worry about what I will do to Vanessa, at least not in the short term. The Cardinal smiled awkwardly. If possible, I also hope that you can ensure that the Holy Visitation ceremony goes on normally as much as possible. Boss, I found out. Grandad ran in breathlessly, holding a handkerchief and constantly wiping the hot sweat on his forehead. Boss, I found out. Our counselor in the temple sent a message back saying that Her Highness Vanessa has completed the emergency meeting and has taken office as vice president. Because the position of president is vacant, she was promoted to acting president. It's exactly as you guessed. Your Highness, your wisdom is really... Stop. Wright saw that he was getting ready and stopped him quickly. Say it's useful. Oh. Grandad took a deep breath, calmed down, and then told all the information in one go. After taking office, Her Highness Vanessa delivered an inaugural speech, stating that she would definitely restore the glory of the temple and take back the rights that everyone deserves. At the same time, she also made it clear that she would. The Cardinal was a little anxious. Just say it. Grandad looked at Wright with difficulty. Her words are a bit offensive to the boss. I dare not. Wright waved his hand. What she said was not what you said, but it doesn't matter if you say it. Yes, boss. Her Highness Vanessa publicly stated in her inaugural speech that Wright is not invincible. She has found a way to ensure that she can defeat you and save the holy city from your bullying rule. After hearing this, Wright looked at Delman, and the Archbishop said in a decisive tone, "You don't have to test the waters. Now it is basically certain that the Tower of Truth must be behind her." From the Battle of the Gods to the Battle of the Tower of Truth, countless forces wanted to target the Holy Light Church, but the only one that has the ability to do it and has really done it is the Tower of Truth. According to the records in the Red Temple, the Tower of Truth secretly carried out several projects targeting the Holy Light Church. The most famous one is the Holy Shackle that directly led to the fall of the legendary White Archbishop and the Pope of the Divine Crown. If the war had not ended quickly, if it had not been delayed by the Tower of Truth, when other targeted projects mature, it is hard to say who will win in the end. Since Vanessa is so sure, she may have mastered some unknown means. Wright laughed instead. That's great. Since she can master such an important means, it means that the guy behind her is definitely a core figure among the remnants of the truth. This is the kind of person I want. The Cardinal was a little worried. Right, you have to be careful. The core members of the Tower of Truth are not easy to deal with. Don't worry, Archbishop. I'm more difficult to deal with than them. Wright waved at Grandad. I just checked the accounts of the Chamber of Commerce for the past 3 years and found that there is a considerable amount of expenditure every year for the repair of the Temple Council's houses. Grandad nodded repeatedly. Yes, because the members of the Temple Council are mostly politicians and celebrities from all walks of life. In order to ensure the vigorous development of the commercial street and the safety and smooth operation of the various trade routes of the United Chamber of Commerce, every year, the Chamber of Commerce will allocate a large sum of money to the temple under this name. It is said to be repairing the houses, but this money is enough to build 10 temple houses. In fact, most of it is used to benefit the members. Some parliamentary officers are treated as VIPs in the commercial street. Very good. Call enough people tomorrow and follow me to the temple house. What are you going there for, boss? Debt collection. Demolition of houses. Chapter 59. I have to end it. Please read it later. After leaving the Chamber of Commerce, Wright declined the carriage that Grandad had called for and waved goodbye to the Cardinal. Grandad was very sensible and finally gave Archbishop Delman a bottle of premium black tea. This made the Archbishop, who was worried, finally smile. Wright walked all the way back home and looked up, only to find that Lilith was standing at the door to greet him early. Are you back? Ah, yeah. Wright led Lilith to the small building. When they were almost at the door, Lilith suddenly grabbed Wright's hand. Hey, I haven't cleaned your ears for a long time. Let me help you clean them today. Wright raised his eyebrows. Is there such a good thing? Lilith pulled him to sit on the sofa, and Wright lay down on his side with his head resting on Lilith's legs. Lilith took out an ear pick from somewhere and began to help Wright clean his ears carefully and gently. Why are you so gentle today? I'm a little uncomfortable with it. It's a reward. You were so handsome when you saved me today. Wright raised his eyebrows and chuckled. You're cleaning my ears and praising me. Do you think I'm in a bad mood and want to comfort me? No, I want to ask you for something. I have goosebumps. Let's talk nicely. Hey, Wright. Why don't you let me handle the matter of that woman? Anyway, I'm a devil. No. Wright's voice was firm. I appreciate your kindness, but she and I are from the same school, and I must settle her matter. The matter of the Tower of Truth is the bottom line. But now we have to wait until the person behind her is fished out, and then we can settle the account with her. Lilith gently turned the cotton swab while stroking Wright's hair with her hand. Since you have made up your mind, I won't say much. Wright sighed. In fact, Vanessa's matter is not difficult to deal with. The difficult thing is the First Empire behind her. If the eldest princess is unclear with the remnants of the truth, then the First Empire may have been corrupted beyond control. People can be killed, but such a large empire can't be wiped out directly, right? Wouldn't it become an evil god? But that's not my problem. After the holy ceremony, let the 3 major churches have a headache. Or, let me preach there. The cotton swab in Lilith's hand trembled slightly. You don't have to be so cruel, do you? Hiss. It hurts. Be gentle. If you pierce the eardrum, it will bleed. Lilith pouted. What are you afraid of? Don't you know healing skills? It can be repaired if it's broken. Well, hey. Why do you look like you have discovered a blind spot? What are you thinking about? Stop asking. It's not suitable for demons. At this moment, Flando came out of the restaurant with washed fruits and saw the two people on the sofa. She couldn't help but panic. I'm sorry, I think I came at the wrong time. No, you came at the right time. Wright waved at Flando. Just right. I also want to ask you about the new religion. After hearing this, Flando hurried to the sofa, put the fruits on the coffee table, and then stood there and began to report. Report to the master. I followed the method you taught me, started with the acquaintances around me, and soon made progress. Although this missionary mode developed slowly at the beginning, it is very safe and controllable. And as the number of people increases, the speed also becomes faster, which is no worse than the ordinary missionary mode. When the number of people rises to a certain level, it can even surpass the old and outdated model missionary mode. Master, you are really amazing. Our Protestantism should really use a brand new missionary method. Moreover, those Protestants who choose to join us highly respect the new doctrine you proposed and are extremely excited about the great power displayed by the light ring. They believe that the Holy Light orthodoxy is in the Protestantism and the Protestant orthodoxy is in your hands. Under your leadership, each of us has a bright future. Lilith spread her hands. Look, this is when you don't preach in person. Be careful, don't make the Protestantism bigger than the Holy Light Church in the end. When that time comes, it will be really difficult. Wright laughed dryly. Flando, you did a good job. Now, I'm going to teach you a new secret. As he spoke, Wright spread out his hands, and as he gradually exerted his strength, two magic rings of fire and light slowly appeared on his palms. Flando couldn't help but widen her eyes, and her shock was beyond words. She originally thought that the magic ring of light was shocking enough, but she didn't expect that it was just an entry-level thing. Wright was a good teacher. Under his careful teaching, Flando quickly mastered the method of summoning the magic ring of fire. But she couldn't merge the two magic rings, let alone cast fire magic directly like Wright. After all, not everyone has such a high talent. But as long as she practices diligently, she can also rely on the magic ring system to become a good fire magician. In the future, there are more possibilities. Practice well, and when you are proficient, you can teach your subordinates, companions. Yes, Master, I will definitely not let you down. After Flando left, Lilith continued to help Wright clean his ears. Now that we have the clue about Vanessa, do we still need to maintain the Protestant side? The more clues, the better. What's more, the remnants of the truth are not a group of people in the strict sense. They are like a rotten melon that has exploded, scattered here and there. The group behind Vanessa may not be the same group as the ones who have been lurking in the city before. Anyway, there is no cost for the Protestant side. Oh, by the way, take out Stoker's Atlas of Gods and Demons. Lilith looked confused. What are you going to do? Anyway, I have nothing to do in the afternoon. Let's burn all the evil gods stored in it into CDs. Disc, Halo. Haha, I made a mistake. But in a sense, it looks like the CDs from my hometown. Wright rubbed his chin. Then the Protestant church will become a group of people selling CDs, right? Haha. Others can't understand your jokes about your hometown. Wright sighed. Yeah, but I still have to tell it. Because if I don't, I'm afraid I will slowly forget it. Hey, okay, I did it. The sudden cheers from the second floor frightened Lilith's hands and made her tremble violently. Wright jumped up with a scream. My ears. They're bleeding. Sorry. I'll rub them for you. I'll blow on them for you. Wright quickly used the holy light to heal his wounds, and Emily on the second floor was still cheering. Celebrate. I've lasted more than 100 seconds. Ha. Then, there was the sound of people coming down the stairs. Wright was furious. Emily Lawrence, I'm warning you. If the proportion of your clothes covering your body does not reach 1/4, lunch today, the main course is you. Then, there was the sound of people coming up the stairs. Speaking of lunch, Wright looked at Lilith with a concerned look on her face. Tomorrow I will take people to the temple to smash the place, so I won't eat lunch at home. You can handle it yourself. Thank you all for your awards, monthly tickets, and recommendation tickets. Huangdao is very grateful. Huangdao has created a reader group called Holy Light Town. The group number is already in the introduction. You can join the group with one click. Welcome to Chat and Play in Holy Light Town. Chapter 60, Triennial Debt Collection Competition. Are you ready? A large group of people gathered in the street in front of the main entrance of the House of Representatives of the Temple Parliament early in the morning. These people were all top talents carefully selected from various shops by the Chamber of Commerce President Grandit. They were eager to try, and they all wanted to perform well in front of the big boss Wright. The opportunity to change their lives was right in front of them. They had to consider whether this would be their only chance in this life. Wright sat at the front of the team, holding a big trumpet made of hard paper in his hand, wearing a vest that he had bought from somewhere, and a peaked cap on his head. Ready? Let's go. Yes. The first person in the team was the Chamber of Commerce President Grandit, who was known as a flatterer and a dog-legged superstar. When he heard that Wright was going to put on such a good show, he fully supported it and finally decided to participate in person as the president, and also took on the important performance task of the opening. It must be said that he was really willing to go all out. At the same time, he also set an exemplary leading role for everyone behind him. He walked quickly to the door of the House of Representatives of the temple, took a deep breath, and then shouted at the confused temple members inside. Fuck. Give me back the money. Simple, rough, but effective. Wright was also very satisfied and praised Grandit to the other contestants behind him. Look at your president. I knew him because he was chasing people from the temple while pushing a small truck, and he didn't forget to shout for drinks. Listen to this shouting and cursing. The high notes are bright. The middle notes are stable. The low notes are deep. Full of confidence. It seems that, although he has become rich in the past 3 years, his basic skills are still there. What are you standing there for? Applaud. The team behind him immediately began to applaud, cheer and whistle, and some people shouted that the president was so handsome and cursed well. Grandit was a little guilty at first, but when he heard so many people behind him supporting him, he turned around and saw Wright giving him a thumbs up and his back straightened up. At this time, a permanent director of the temple ran out quickly with an embarrassed look on his face. Oh, isn't this my old friend, Monsieur Grandit? What brings you here? Who is your old friend? Grandit waved his hand. Who is your old friend? Let me tell you. I'm here to collect debts today. The other party was confused. Collect debts? What debts? There is no account transaction between the temple and the commercial street. Grandit shouted loudly. Of course there is. Our commercial street donates a large sum of money to the temple parliament every year. It is used to repair and renovate the temple House of Representatives. How can there be no account transaction? The parliamentarian spread his hands. Monsieur Grandit, you also said that it is a donation. Since it is a donation, how can there be a talk of paying back the money? We donated money to renovate the House of Representatives. But in 3 years, you haven't changed even a tile in this House of Representatives, but the money is gone. Although we gave a donation, it is also a special fund for a special purpose. You misappropriated it at will, and now a huge amount of money is missing. Shouldn't you give us an explanation? That's all our hard-earned money. The people behind him started to make a noise, shouting for an explanation. More and more people gathered around, and soon the House of Representatives was completely packed. Wright saw that the situation was almost over, so he gestured to the 2 people next to him. The 2 immediately took out 2 stacks of flyers from the basket beside them, and began to distribute them to the crowd. Take a look. This is the annual major corruption case of the Temple Council. For 3 consecutive years, the sky-high renovation donations have disappeared, and the Parliament Hall has not been replaced. Is this a distortion of human nature or a loss of morality? Welcome everyone to watch the annual drama of this year's Holy Advent ceremony, the disappearing donation series of performances. There are new surprises every day, to make you happy and happy. At the same time, the theme song of the series of performances, Where Did the Donations Go?, is being sung hotly, so stay tuned. At this time, the performance in front of the House of Representatives also came to an end. Grandit finally yelled, "Okay, stop talking. You. No money. The congressman also waved his hand angrily. Go to hell. Then the two bowed and left the stage under the gaze of the crowd. It was not until they came to Wright to salute that everyone reacted. Oh, it turns out that this congressman who walked out of the House of Representatives is also an actor. Such a clever design immediately ushered in cheers and applause from the crowd. The other members of the House of Representatives were even more confused. At first, they were quite fortunate that someone could go out to take the blame. Although the temple members are famous for sweeping the snow in front of their own doors, they are still a little moved by this person standing up. In the middle and late stages, the congressman had some complaints. In fact, if there was no permanent member who talked to the other party, there would not be such a lively quarrel. After all, quarreling is a matter between two people, and one person is yelling and cursing. In the middle of the process, someone winked at the other party, asking him not to pay attention to Grandit and come in quickly. In the end, this guy was in the same group with the other side. The councillors were almost pissed off. They never expected that there would be a traitor in their team who would play tricks on them. You two, just sit here and be judges with me. Wright shouted with a loudspeaker. Come on. Number 2 starts. Number 3 is ready. As the performance began, various performances began to be performed one after another. Singing, dancing. There were also pantomimes, magic and puppet shows. It was very lively and varied. But no matter how it was performed, there was only one theme, which was the words that Grandad shouted at the beginning. Pay back the money. It can be said to be a big stage for debt collection. Come if there is work. This is not a debt collection scene. It is a debt collection meeting, held every 3 years. More and more people came here, and the news of the wonderful performance spread like wildfire. Believers who came to worship, and tourists who came to visit came here to watch. When Wright saw that there were more spectators, he directly had several huge magic crystal curtain walls set up to broadcast the performance content live with projection magic. The members of the temple council were all well-known figures. They say that they represent all parties and help the Holy Light Church to develop in a better coordinated manner. But in fact, most of them regard this position as a lucrative job. After all, there is nothing to do every day, and the main task is to find faults. People have to spend a lot of money to support them, which can be said to be a dream job. But now, these people are hiding in the parliament, watching those people outside humiliate themselves in various ways. If their humiliation is good, they will receive applause from the whole house. It can only be said that the hearts of the parliamentarians are broken, and their reputations are stinking. Some parliamentarians were unwilling to be humiliated, and tried their best to slip out. They found the Holy New Army responsible for the security in the city, and asked them to disperse these people on the grounds of gathering and making trouble. But when Wright slapped the holy man's medal on the table, the parliamentarian immediately fell silent. Of course, in order to show that he was not bullying others, Wright specially submitted an application for a rally. He took out a piece of white paper from his arms and wrote the application. Then he took out 5 seals and stamped them one by one. Wright's meaning is very clear. I didn't have an application form at the beginning. I was waiting for you to ask me for one. If you want it, I will write it on the spot and approve it myself. Don't discuss with me whether the procedures are complete or not. My seal is more complete than the procedures. Wright is determined to make the temple synonymous with clowns. What represents public opinion? What elites from all walks of life? It's just a joke. Such a temple, even if Vanessa condenses it into a rope, what waves can it make? Just as Wright was sitting cross-legged and enjoying the interesting show, a paladin of the Holy New Army hurried over. Your Highness, there is a situation in Shengang Town. According to reliable intelligence, we found an alchemist of unknown origin who is making dangerous alchemical products. This trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain is too bad. Wright stood up and stretched. That's good. Fishing requires pulling and releasing. Let's go. Let's go and see what kind of car this abandoned car is. Grandad, keep an eye on the stall. Finally, hold a super big lottery. Copy the atmosphere. Chapter 61 Your Name, Part 3. Leaving the bustling street in front of the temple council, Wright followed his brothers in the Holy New Army and rushed towards the north gate. I didn't expect that something would happen in Shengang Town. Your Highness. After you reminded us last time, we have strengthened our forces in the town. But unexpectedly, the other side still took advantage of the loophole. Wright waved his hand. This kind of thing cannot be avoided by strengthening patrols or improving public security. It's not your fault. The remnants of the Tower of Truth are all a bunch of lunatics. They are different from the authentic members of the Tower of Truth. The formal members are at least 1 in a million geniuses, and their methods and techniques are mature. Although they basically have no humanity, they are full of rationality. On the contrary, this kind of weird half-baked person who has learned a page and a half by himself may not understand what he is doing. This kind of person is even more dangerous. Especially the alchemist. The accompanying guards nodded repeatedly. Regarding this point, they had been told countless times by the instructors when they were in the recruit class. For all other professions, whether warrior or priest, their destructive power is basically closely related to their rank. The same is true for other branches of the mage department. Only the mage alchemist branch, their destructive power is seriously mismatched with their rank. As long as there is enough time and enough materials, the destructive power caused by a small 3rd level alchemist can even be far greater than that of a 5th level elemental mage or arcane mage. But if it is an encounter, a higher level alchemist may not be as good as a magician of 1 or 2 levels. But now it seems that the alchemist in Shengan Town has been lurking there for who knows how long. Then his destructive power has lost the meaning of calculation. Wright stopped at a street corner, called 2 guards, and threw them a non-attribute magic crystal stone engraved with his own mark. 2 brothers, please go to my manor, and then bring Lilith to Shengan Town to meet me. Yes, Your Highness. I promised to complete the task. After Wright followed them out of the north gate, he quickly connected with Taylor. Boss, the person has been controlled. The southeast area of Shengan Town has been completely surrounded, and the paladins are on full alert. And in their encirclement, the so-called alchemist is sitting there, drinking coffee leisurely. As expected of the holy city, which is known as the world's first city, it even has blue snow coffee, which is only available in the northern barbarian tribes. If possible, I really want to live here all my life. Of course. Wright took Taylor and slowly walked into the encirclement. You can choose to spend the rest of your life in the Black Iron prison, or you can turn into fertilizer to nourish crops. I suggest you choose the latter, so that you can always find some surplus value in your life. It turns out that His Majesty the Holy Sin has come. The alchemist stood up and saluted, with a smug smile on his face. I finally waited for you. These people are really impossible to communicate with. Try it. I'm actually quite difficult to communicate with. Wright narrowed his eyes. So, you are waiting for me here so arrogantly. You must have something to rely on. Rely on? Yes, not much. Just the lives of all the people in the entire Shengan Town. The other party also pointed at the new holy army that surrounded them very arrogantly, including them. Taylor snorted coldly. We can drown you with just one spit. You want to threaten me? Wright scratched his ear. You said everyone's life is in your hands, right? The alchemist took out a thumb-sized bottle, which was full of densely packed brown insects as thin as hair. Taylor's scalp tingled with disgust at the sight of it, and even Wright couldn't help but frown slightly. Now, all the people in Shengan Town have been planted with these poisonous insects by me. As long as I start the spell, they can easily eat away a person's body and use it as a nest to reproduce. Don't try to expel it with holy light. It's just a living creature, so it can't be purified. Don't try to use any magic potion or mixture. These little bugs will invade various organs of the human body. It's wishful thinking to want to completely eliminate them. The alchemist was very confident. What do you think? Do I have the qualifications to negotiate now? If everyone in Shengan Town dies, then your holy advent ceremony will be ruined. And these bugs will continue to spread, and all believers and tourists who come to participate in the holy advent ceremony will not be spared. Imagine being eaten away by these bugs from the body bit by bit, eating away bit by bit, but being powerless to do anything about the pain. Ha 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 ha. Right side, you are really an abandoned child. I don't think you should be considered a core member of the remnants of the truth. What? What did you say? I'm the authentic inheritor of the Tower of Truth. First of all, I want to correct you. This insect is called Corona's brown hair. It is the creation of an evil god named Corona. She did not say that this insect eats people, but let them help devour the lesions in the believers' bodies to achieve the effective treatment. Although he is an evil god, he is still very good to his believers, but unfortunately he is still an evil god. I'm really convinced. You said that the people in your Tower of Truth, although they were equally crazy, their strength was online. Whether it is the control of the laws or the analysis and deduction of magic theory, they have their own unique features. Some of them even make me look at them with new eyes. Oh, it's just academic admiration. I still despise your behavior of abandoning human reason. But all of you guys I met recently are idiots. Instead of studying the mechanism of magic, you actually went to borrow the power of the evil god. That is to say, the Tower of Truth has fallen now, otherwise I don't need to do anything. The Tower of Truth will clean up the door by itself. After saying this, Wright began to fiddle with something that no one else could see. Strange, where did I put Corona's plate? Oh, I mean the magic ring. If I had known, I would have classified them according to the production area. Ah. Found it. In the eyes of the alchemist, a broken light brown magic ring suddenly appeared in Wright's hand, which was somewhat similar to the color of the insect in his hand. Then, a magic ring of light appeared in Wright's other hand. After the two merged, Wright opened his arms. Sacrifice. A buzzing sound. The powerful mental fluctuations accompanied by strange magic swept the entire holy city and the holy work town like a storm. This magic storm was fleeting, and ordinary people only felt a breeze on their faces and did not feel any discomfort. But the alchemist could feel that all the insects he had carefully arranged disappeared without a trace in this instant. What happened? The alchemist held his head and looked at Wright in horror. You. What kind of monster are you? Your spellcasting range is larger than the two holy cities. You. Poof. A holy light chain pierced through his chest and then trapped the alchemist. Wright walked slowly in front of him, his eyes full of teasing. From now on, only I'm allowed to ask questions. First question. Name. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. You are not a bad person. Please read. After being caught, this so-called authentic descendant of the Tower of Truth was still very stubborn and refused to explain anything. Until Wright took out another strand of Corona's brown hair from somewhere and put it into his nostrils. This guy immediately confessed everything. The surrounding paladins looked at him as if he were a pile of garbage. This kind of inferior person is the most excited when he harms others, but if the same method is used on him, he will be full of shit and fart. Wright sneered and made an extremely appropriate comment. Taylor, you have to remember that this kind of stuff is not a bad person, not even a bad person. He is just a scum, that's all. Unfortunately, as Wright expected, this kind of scum can't even touch the threshold of the Tower of Truth. He is also the outermost of the outer circle of the remnants of the truth. This time he came to the holy city, he also hoped to make achievements so that he can get into the core circle of the remnants of the truth and obtain more taboo knowledge. The orders given to him by the higher-ups were also through dreaming or enlightenment, which could not be traced back after the end. Basically, he was a discarded pawn, and he was not of much value. Although the kid looked scared to death, it didn't seem like he was hiding anything. But for the sake of caution, Wright still waited for Lilith to come. After waiting, 3 people came. Not only Lilith, but also Emily and Flander followed. Wright didn't have time to ask more questions. After a brief explanation to Lilith, he asked her to read the memory of this alchemist. Lilith stretched out her hand and pressed it on the other's forehead. After a moment, she shook her head and withdrew her hand. Just as you expected. He is just a small operative on the periphery, and the only contact between him and his superiors is through a one-way channel. He has confessed everything he should have, and there is nothing special to hide. Wright nodded slightly. From his despicable means, we can guess it pretty close. But, our direction is right after all. Continue to use this method of besieging the enemy and attacking the reinforcement to pull out the enemies one by one. I want to see how long they can hide. So, Wright pointed at the two people behind Lilith. Why did you bring them out? Lilith looked puzzled. Emily is one of the witches, and Flounder is the leader of the new sect of the Ring of Law. I think they are both fat pieces in the eyes of the Tower of Truth. It's safer to keep them around. That's not necessary. There are many backup plans in the manor. Although it can't be called an indestructible fortress, most masters will lose a lot of skin if they don't die. Wright turned sideways to look at Emily, who was dressed neatly, and nodded with satisfaction. Yes, that's right. You are a noble lady after all. You should dress appropriately. After hearing this, Emily suddenly smiled mysteriously. Lilith told me that when people are extremely hungry, the food they eat will taste much better than when they are full. Why did she tell you this? Huh? Wright instantly understood what Emily meant. If a person's desires are suppressed first and then released, they will feel extremely satisfied. Don't learn from Lilith in the future. Lilith pouted. What? I was planning to take them both out for shopping. I heard that there is a new tourist attraction in the city. There are all kinds of wonderful performances. There are also various handmade stalls and small food trucks. It's so lively. However, you also know Emily's current dressing style. If I don't say this and take her out like that, then we will become a new tourist attraction. What can I do? I'm also desperate. I can only think of a way to make her more reserved when she is outside. As for after returning home. Anyway, you are the only man in the family, and you are not cheap to others. Wright gave a thumbs up. So that's it. I have to thank you. Lilith rolled her eyes. Just be happy secretly. That is, I'm sealed now. Otherwise, I will fascinate you. Ha. Wright sighed helplessly. Let's go. 3 ladies. I will take you to see the art performance of the new tourist attraction. It's the super front row of the Golden Supreme VIP seat. By the way, take a look at the snack stand you mentioned. Wright asked the 3 to get on the carriage first, and then turned around to tell Taylor something. Unexpectedly, Taylor was hesitant, and seemed to be hesitant to speak. Wright kicked him and said, "What's wrong? Are you constipated? If you have something to say, just say it." Boss, I have looked up a lot of information these 2 days, and made up for the classes I skipped before. I found out that Holy Dragon of Light is immune to all magic attacks of light attribute. It also has extremely high magic resistance to magic of other attributes. Boss, if Vanessa is really determined to go against us, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with. Wright was a little speechless. Do we need to look up books about dragons being immune to magic of the same attribute? The strength of the dragon race can be said to be innate. Even if they don't exercise at all and sleep all day, their strength will become stronger as their lifespan increases. At the same time, the dragon also has a strong magic immune dragon skin, destructive dragon breath, and a huge and strong body. It can be said to be a natural top predator. Facing an adult dragon, multiple saints must join forces to have a chance of winning. Dragon Island has inherited powerful and ancient dragon language magic. Dragon riders can also cultivate a very special kind of fighting dragon fighting spirit. No matter from which angle, it is not easy to deal with. Taylor clapped his hands. So, boss, your magic spell can't be used. You will suffer a great loss in the battle against her. Why don't you let me deal with her when the time comes? Wright was a little helpless. Then what? Is your holy light fighting key stronger than mine? Taylor patted his chest. No. But I think it's definitely stronger than Vanessa's. Wright stretched out his hand and linked his shoulders with Taylor. I appreciate your kindness, brother. But the teacher has entrusted this matter to me. Boss, you fooled me again. Our teacher never mentioned this. Wright sighed. A few days ago, the teacher suddenly called 2 archbishops to come to me and fought with me. Did you know about this? I know. The vibration of your fight with the teacher that day could be sensed throughout the holy city. Did the teacher say that at that time? At that time, Vanessa hadn't come yet. Wright shook his head. I only figured it out when I saw Vanessa riding the Holy Dragon of Light. The teacher probably knew something when he came to find me that day. He had to play with me and force me to use it. I probably want to see me. What is the fighting power when the magic curse can't afford the effect? What is it? He said you are stupid. You just stay with him honestly and chat with him. This is your biggest task. Do you understand? Yes, I know the boss. Please read more. There will be 2 more chapters tonight. Chapter 63, the temple's background. I asked you to look after the stalls, but you set up a whole street of stalls. Wright looked at the endless stream of tourists and the small stalls that came one after another on the street in front of the Temple House of Representatives and didn't know what to say for a moment. You are here to generate income for me. Grandad was very excited now. Boss, you don't know. The income of these small stalls every prayer hour is almost 90% of the commercial street. If we do this for 3 months, we don't have to ask for the debts of the past 3 years, and we can make it back directly. Moreover, these small stalls are simple to make, and the cost is so low that it can be ignored. And you can push and go. It doesn't take up any place. Boss, you don't know that with the increasing number of tourists in the holy city and the increasing pilgrimage, the commercial street is obviously not enough. We applied many times, but we didn't get new land and new building permits approved. The reason why the merchants in the commercial street donate so much to the temple council every year is that they hope that the council can use their privileges to clear the process for us. As a result, these people took the money and did not do anything. A bunch of bastards. Oh, I have a new creative inspiration again. I have to write a good script tonight. Tomorrow I will criticize them. Wright rubbed his temples. He also knew about the privileges of the temple council mentioned by Grandad at the beginning of the establishment of the Holy Light Church, in order to express the vision of getting along with all walks of life in a friendly manner and jointly creating a paradise ruled by God. The temple council was established. To a certain extent, the original temple did have a popular reputation that was enough to restrain the Holy See. But as time went by, the temple council members were no longer as fair and honest as they once were. The church no longer needed to do such a face-saving project. This kind of restraining relationship has long existed in name only. The current temple is more like a vase ornament in a symbolic sense. Boss, these stalls can support many families. They can create many job opportunities, and can. Wright interrupted Grandad. I know what you said, but have you ever thought about what would happen if the Holy Work Town continued to expand? It is now a chaotic place where no one cares, and sin breeds in filth. If one day it really harms the holy city, what do you think the church will do? I also want everyone to live a good life, but things don't work that way. Grandad nodded weakly and sighed helplessly. Seeing him like this, Wright patted him on the shoulder. I didn't say I wouldn't let you do it. Development is a good thing, but development must also be constrained and planned. Have you ever seen a tree planted? Before a small tree grows into a material, people need to cut off the horizontal branches so that it can grow all the way up and become a pillar of the country. So, I'll invest in this project. You find someone to measure and see how many stalls this square can accommodate, and then issue a corresponding number of licenses and register the license holders. Every 3 months or 6 months, evaluate and reward high quality stalls, ban low quality stalls, and replace them with others. New businesses can develop, but management must keep up. The same is true for Shangan Town. As the president of the Chamber of Commerce, your stage is bigger than you think. After hearing this, Grandad's eyes lit up. Boss. Or you can say you are the boss. Even the ideas you give are complete sets. Yes, you are right. Management must be in place. Don't worry, we will push this project to the ground as soon as possible. In Shangan Town, I will take the lead in establishing an autonomous committee in the name of the Chamber of Commerce. Self-management, self-discipline, and self-purification. Never burden or trouble the holy city. Wright nodded approvingly. Oh, that's right. Who doesn't like such a Shangan Town? Don't think that the holy city is indifferent to Shangan Town now. Maybe in the future, the holy city will beg Shangan Town to become a regular town. Grandad's eyes widened. He clenched his fists excitedly, and he was visibly excited. Although he has settled in the holy city and lived a rich and prestigious life, but he has always had a special feeling for Shangan Town, where he was born. It can make his hometown prosperous and make his former fellow villagers respected. Who loves his hometown would refuse? Boss, I will make this my goal and strive for it my whole life. Wright patted his shoulder approvingly. You go and do your work. I go to the temple to take a look. Ah, you want to go in? Why, are you afraid that those congressmen will do something bad to me? Well, that's not the case. Grandad scratched his head awkwardly. It's just that the performance was quite good today. Everyone was so excited that they threw a lot of rotten vegetable leaves and rotten eggs over there. The gate is no longer accessible. Wright frowned. We didn't arrange this project. Besides, where did the eggs and vegetable leaves come from here? There are several small stores that specialize in supplying them. Buy a basket of rotten eggs and get half a basket of rotten vegetable leaves for free. You earned this money. Wright covered his face involuntarily. Then are you going to get a few carts of flowers, fruit baskets and various gifts tomorrow for the audience to buy and then reward outstanding performers? Are you going to set up another stage for both sides to compete and see who gets more awards? What a good idea. Grandad suddenly took out a notebook and began to write down. The boss is the boss, and everything he says is a great way to make money. I have to write it down quickly. Wright kicked him. You tell me first about the door. Oh. Boss, the main door can't be used. If you want to go in, I'll take you through the small door. Is there a small door in the House of Representatives? Of course there is. We can't just go in through the main door when we give gifts. Wright stroked his chin. Oh, this is the first time I've heard of this. Wright didn't care much about the side door. He did this in front of the House of Representatives mainly to discredit the congressmen and make them lose their appeal among the people. As for whether they sneaked away through the small door, it didn't matter. The monk can run away, but the temple cannot. After all, he was scolding the people, not them. He was just surprised that such a weak organization as the temple actually had its own little secrets that were unknown to the public. Boss, come this way, I'll take you there. Grandad muttered as he led Wright. Boss, you don't have to take this temple too seriously. I've dealt with them quite a lot in the past 2 years, and you know what the funniest thing is? Their heritage has been lost so badly that they don't recognize many of their own things. Last year, I went to give them a gift, and I happened to see a very beautiful vase in the reception room. I praised it a few words, and then the permanent director of the temple insisted on giving it to me. I also thought it was just a vase, so I took it home. Later, a friend who appreciates antiques came to my house as a guest, and he could tell at a glance that my vase was an antique from hundreds of years ago. It was a unique piece by a particularly outstanding artist at the time. This artist was a leader in the art industry at the time and was invited to become a member of the temple at the time, and he also served as the president for 2 terms. This vase alone is more valuable than the gift I gave to the temple that year. Boss, let me tell you, this is not an isolated case. There are many more. You're talking about this group of people. The temple council has a rich heritage, but it has fallen into the hands of this group of people now, and it is really a waste of pearls. Hey, boss, why do you look a little pale? Chapter 64, The Disappearing Armor. Wright's face was as gloomy as water. He followed Grandad around the crowd and came to the corner behind the House of Representatives. As the stone door opened, light shone into the dim corridor. Boss, this is the side door. Well, let's go. Grandad didn't know what he said wrong, so he could only lead the way carefully. But in fact, Wright was not angry because of him, but was thinking whether he had overlooked something. As Grandad said, the current temple is just a group of rabble. But the former temple was also able to resist the existence of the 3 major churches and the papal palace on its own. It is hard to say whether this kind of organization with rich ancestors has left any means to check and balance the Holy See. Perhaps, because of the long time and the interruption of inheritance, the current members of the temple no longer know these. But this also means that it is very likely that the Holy See does not know either. Then, this has become an ignored blind spot, an unknown area shrouded in the fog of war. TSK, maybe that woman came to integrate the temple, not because of these fence sitters, but because of the unknown background of the temple. Boss, what did you say? Wright waved his hand and walked past Grandad and came to the hall. But at this time, the hall was empty. Those councillors had already run away because they couldn't stand the ridicule, rotten eggs and rotten leaves. Damn. Wright looked around, and there were indeed many collections in the hall. But he didn't know much about this and could only identify whether they were effective by feeling the energy fluctuations in them. After this round, He really found 2 or 3 pieces, which contained complex magic arrays, and were rare magic guides. Now, his worries were even heavier. Hey, is anyone breathing? Wright's voice echoed in the meeting hall, but unfortunately there was no response. Boss, don't worry. Grandad ran over quickly. Our Chamber of Commerce has several seats in the parliament. I'll call them all over now. Call them over. Call them over immediately. Also, call those you know who can be called over. It's best if they are very old. They know the inside and outside of the temple very well. Yes, yes, yes. Just as Grandad was about to turn around and leave through the small door, a voice suddenly came from the corner. Who is it? Why are you so noisy? Can't you see? Am I sleeping? The person who spoke was slurred and sounded like he was drunk. Wright followed the sound and found a drunk holding a bottle of wine, collapsed under a huge bronze statue. This is also a counselor. Grandad came over to take a look and nodded repeatedly. I know this person. His name is Idris, and he is a drunkard. He used to come to the food area of our commercial street to drink and eat free meals, and was later blocked by the Chamber of Commerce. He is indeed a counselor, but he is a bit out of tune with those guys. It is said that he has never accepted the gifts we sent. Wright raised his eyebrows. He would rather eat free meals than accept gifts. What kind of behavioral logic is that? Who said I ate free meals? Hiccup. Idris was still quite unconvinced. I paid with my poems. It's just that those ignorant shop owners didn't know the goods. Wright looked at Grandad. Poetry? Yes, the counselors of the temple are supposed to be the best in their respective fields. Although they are corrupt now, there are still some capable people, especially some artists, who still have some real skills. Although this guy is a drunkard, he seems to be a first-class bard. What first class? He's top. The drunkard struggled to sit up, opened his arms, and smelled of alcohol. I'm an eagle flying freely in the sky. I want the blue sky and white clouds to hear my loud and high-pitched eagle cry. Wright suddenly drew out his sin light and slashed at the man's neck. The blade directly cut into the bronze sculpture base behind Idris and stopped precisely less than half an inch away from his neck. But the sharp sword still hit his face randomly. Land, eagle. Okay sir. No problem sir. Already landed, sir. Idris woke up instantly and his clothes were soaked with sweat. It felt like he was sober all of a sudden. You are a troubadour. What kind of thing? I'm a generalist, sir. I know a little bit about everything, sir. If you have anything to ask, please tell me, sir. Wright looked around. Let me ask you, did your newly appointed unlucky vice president take anything from here? Sir, the counselors here do dirty things every day, and it is common for them to take things home. Are you referring to anything in particular? Ancient. Too general, sir. When Grandad heard that his boss was looking for the lost ancient things, he immediately began to look around the hall. Finally, he pointed at the largest bronze sculpture in the center of the hall and shouted as if he had discovered a new continent. Gone. Gone. That's gone. What? What's gone? Wright looked in the direction of his finger. Whose sculpture is this? Sir, this is the sculpture of the first president of the Temple Council. Released. Alas. It's really gone. That's right. What's gone? Armor. It's armor. Grandad pointed at the sculpture excitedly. It turns out that this sculpture was wearing armor. A complete set. Wright looked it up and down. It feels like the sculpture is one piece now. Are you sure there was armor originally? Yes. I'm so sure. The grandsons of the permanent directors once asked me for money in the name of maintaining the armor for this sculpture. Wright's eyes fell on Idris, and the latter immediately had an idea. Sir, I know everything. I also know the biography of Realist. Do you want to listen to the full version or the singing version? If it's the singing version, I have to go get my instrument. Explain it clearly in 140 words or less. As you wish, sir. Idris took a deep breath. The legendary first president of the temple helped the goddess win the War of Gods. But in order to restrain the powerful, he signed a contract with the gods. When the church breaks its promise, when the gods are no longer kind, someone will inherit his will. Wear his hunting light armor. Save everything. Less than 100 words. Sir, are you satisfied? Wright frowned. Hunting light armor? When light is no longer kind to all living beings, it will hunt. That's probably what it means. So, this is a pair of armor specifically designed to restrain the Holy Light cult? Idris nodded repeatedly. This is what is recorded in the legendary poem, sir. But so far, it has only been worn on the statue to commemorate the great achievements of the first president of the Temple Council, and has never shown any great power. Moreover, this bronze sculpture is 3 or 4 meters tall, and the first president is just an ordinary person. It is still doubtful whether this set of armor is the same one he wore at the beginning. Wright pinched his chin and thought, HMM. At this moment, Grandad suddenly shouted, "Boss, there are words on the base of this sculpture." Chapter 65. What is the meaning of invincible in 100 battles? Seeking follow-up reading. There are indeed some symbols that look like words on the base of the huge bronze sculpture, but these symbols are very different from human words. Wright took a look, but had no clue. Wright was not worried that a 1,000-year-old armor could pose a threat to him. He had too many trump cards in his hand, and he was confident. But what he was afraid of was whether this armor would have an impact on the entire system of the Holy Light Church. Although the possibility is not great, if this technology is really effective and can be replicated and then falls into the hands of someone with ulterior motives, then the existing world order will be challenged and the original peaceful days will be engulfed by the flames of war in the blink of an eye. It is better to check it out so as to be more at ease. Hey, that eagle over there, come here. Coming, sir. My name is Idris, sir. Do you recognize these? Idris half knelt on the ground and looked at them again and again. It seems to be the ancient dwarf script, and it is quite old. The front should be written. This armor was forged by the forging Grand Master Ironbird and the lava dragon Balzac, and it possesses the power to forbid light. Only the president of the Temple Council is qualified to control it. The words at the back are rusted and difficult to recognize, but I can sort it out. Just give me 30 days to look up the information. 3 days. Then, 20 days. No less. 2 days. Why do you have to reduce? If I reduce, then I want 50 days. 1 day. Why don't you increase? If I increase. Seeing that Wright was about to speak again, Idris quickly agreed. Okay. 1 day is enough. But I need manpower. I also need the right to freely enter and exit the Holy Light Library. There are enough manpower, but not the Holy Light Library. I will send some clergy to follow you and let them take whatever you want. The Holy Light Library is now the Pope's office, and Wright is worried about outsiders entering casually. Wright pressed Idris's shoulder. The key point of the research is whether the technology for forging this armor is universal. To put it bluntly, it is whether it can be copied on a large scale. You must understand that this matter is related to the stability and peace of the entire world. You have sung so many heroic legends, but this time, you also have the opportunity to become the object of others' singing. Idris nodded repeatedly after hearing this. Don't worry, sir. I will. Wright used the holy light to transform a holy crow, said a few words in its ear, and let it fly away. The holy crow left the temple's House of Representatives through the side door at the end of the corridor, and soon came with a group of clergy. Among these people, there were not only the red and black clothes, but also several of the most arrogant white clothes, and a small group of the Holy New Army. Follow this Idris, and assist him in translating the inscription on this sculpture. Report any progress to me, as soon as possible. Yes, Your Highness. Wright patted Idris on the shoulder and said, you are now the leader of these people. I believe in you. Work hard, and you will be the star of tomorrow. Idris was a little excited by this tube of chicken blood, and turned around, and devoted himself to the translation of the inscription. Wright winked at Grandad, and the two quietly left the House of Representatives, and found a hidden corner. Boss, find someone to check this Idris to see if he has a clean background. Yes. Mobilize all your connections, and prepare to hold a new election for the president of the temple. Wright looked back at the dark-skinned Yandeo and said, since only the president of the temple can wear it, then we should cut off the source of the trouble. She is just a vice president, acting president. When the new president takes office, she will naturally have no chance to play. But boss, the armor has been taken away by her. Even if a new president is elected, what if she doesn't return it? Wright waved his hand and said, you don't understand. According to my calculations, this set of armor should be a set of oath blessing devices. The oath is the source of its power. The more stringent the oath conditions are, and the longer the time they stay together, the greater the power of the blessing device. We can only wait for the translation of the bard to know what the oath it fulfills and what the conditions are. But one of the conditions is clear, that is, the user must be the president of the temple. Just such a difficult oath condition, plus 1,000 years of companionship. This power cannot be underestimated. Grandad nodded, not quite understanding, but then suddenly slapped his thigh. Boss, Vanessa has already started an emergency meeting yesterday. According to the rules of the temple, if we want to hold an emergency meeting for re-election, I'm afraid we have to wait another week. Wright waved his hand. Rules are dead, but people are alive. Can a living person be suffocated to death? You go and win over the counselors first, and get them for me. Don't force yourself to negotiate with those who can't be negotiated. Write down the list and hand it over to the tribunal. These guys' original jobs were taken away, and their current jobs have been suspended because of Vanessa. Okay. Then find them some loose work to do. Grandad shuddered after hearing this. For the group of temple counselors, if 1 out of every 2 people is randomly hanged, there will be no false or wrongful convictions. If all of this is thrown into the hands of the idle and sad black-clad people in the tribunal, it will be a big crime. After a round of negotiations, it is estimated that there will not be a single counselor who opposes. It is really gone. After giving Grandad a few more instructions, Wright returned to the main street in front of the temple house. The show was almost over, so Wright found the happy trio strolling around, played with them for a while, and then got on the carriage to go home. However, as soon as they got home, Emily couldn't help but take off her coat. Stop. Stop it. Wright hurriedly called for a stop and immediately grabbed Emily's wrist. Good boy, you are so quick. You unbuttoned 3 buttons in half a sentence. What are you doing? I'm home. Why can't I? This is my home. Wake up. You are a guest. Okay. Wright wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Besides, you wear such cool clothes at home all day. What if others see it? What about my reputation? What about my clean reputation? Your Highness Wright, why worry about something you don't have? In short, haven't you lasted 100 seconds? Then let's move on to the next stage. It just so happens that you don't want to feel the element with your body, then this technique just satisfies you. And it doesn't delay you from getting dressed. Watch. After Wright released Emily's wrist, he began to gather light element. In just a breath of time, his whole body was glowing with fluorescence. What you are doing? Filling your entire body with light element. Wright nodded slightly. Yes. In my opinion, the elemental magician's manipulation of magic is divided into different levels. The first level is called super sense, which is the state you have reached now. You can clearly perceive the magic element, and your manipulation of elemental magic will be greatly improved. But because your perception becomes more and more acute, you will become more eager to blend with the magic element. This also means that you are heading towards the second stage, which is the state I'm showing now. The second level is called overload. It can also be called fullness or limit, and your training task is to find a way to reach the overload state and persist for 100 seconds. Emily cried. Ah, another 100 seconds. Do you have any obsession with this time? Wright's old face darkened. Little girl, be careful with what you say. Otherwise, I will let you see what it means to be invincible in 100 battles. Lilith curled her lips. What's the big deal about bullying a little girl? Wait until I unlock the seal, and I will let you know what it means to be completely defeated. I see you want to know what killing you while you're weak means. Then I'll let you know what a skinny camel is bigger than a horse means. Even a skinny camel has 2 humps. I'll bite you to death. Chapter 66. Don't say you learned it from me. In the lobby on the first floor, Wright and Lilith sat there, quietly watching Emily's performance. Because overload training does not require entering the elemental subspace, Wright insisted on teaching in person this time. No matter what, Emily's bad habit must be corrected. Otherwise, his reputation will be ruined by this girl sooner or later. It's just a pity that from the beginning of training to the evening, Emily has not been able to enter the state. There were even a few times when she couldn't even maintain the state of super sense, which made Wright a little dissatisfied. People are like balloons. Although ordinary magicians can accommodate more magic element than ordinary people, they are also shriveled. But if you can reach the overload state, you can blow the balloon to the critical point of expansion and almost exploding. Then your magic storage will be more than 10 times that of the same level. However, if you want to achieve overload, you must first make good use of super sense. Blindly increasing the element reserve will blow up the balloon. Being too cautious will not reach that critical state. It is like the freezing point of water, the critical point, where water is about to solidify. But Emily failed again. Her supersensory state was released, and she collapsed to the ground in exhaustion. Lilith sighed at this. Okay, I think she's tired enough. You have to give her enough time to settle down. Not everyone can learn as quickly as you. Where can I get so much time for her to learn slowly? Wright picked his ears. There are only 10 days left before the holy day. Before that, it is crucial to transform Emily from a protected weakling into a reliable fighting force. Lilith obviously didn't buy it. You want to fool me too? You want her to improve her strength as much as possible, and then see if you can get the secret of the witch from her. As long as you succeed and rescue Jonah, the last chain that binds you will be completely untied. By then, with your personality, I'm afraid you will turn the holy day ceremony into an execution ceremony again. Right? Wright sighed. Not really. 3 years of self-cultivation have made me a peace-loving person. I see that you haven't changed much, except that you have more tricks and are more ruthless. You have to understand that peace is a hobby. Wright stood up from the sofa and helped Emily up. Okay, you did a good job today. Go back to your room, take a shower and change clothes, and come down for dinner. Emily nodded disappointedly, but at this moment her body and mind had reached their limits, and she could only hold onto the stairs with trembling legs and walk upstairs. After she left, Lilith grabbed Wright. By the way, I sensed that you appeared in the building behind the performance booth this afternoon. What, did you find anything? Wright lay back on the sofa and told Lilith about the battle between Xiaoguang and Kay. After hearing this, the latter covered his mouth and laughed. Oh my, why do I feel like you are the demon king in those children's picture books? To defeat you, you must gather all kinds of conditions. Wright curled his lips and said, maybe, that idiot really thinks of himself as a hero. She is the princess of the First Empire, and before I showed up, she was the strongest and most talented among the other apprentice saints. This situation does make people have the illusion that they are chosen by God. She doesn't have much of a life, but she is full of opinions about life. She doesn't understand the world, but always wants to change the world. Her favorite thing to do every day is to talk big and express some unrealistic fantasies. But in fact, they are all castles in the air, full of the assumptions of the superiors. She is just short of tattooing "why not eat meat" on her face. The first time I had a conflict with her was at a rally, and you weren't there at that time. She stood on the stage and talked about her remarks that the church should be managed and restricted by the kingdom. You know me, I'm eager for justice. Can I spoil her? So I stood up and confronted her. She was on the stage, and I was below. After a few rounds, I made her speechless and unable to leave the stage. In anger, she drew her sword and wanted to duel with me. Then, I beat her in public and crushed her in every aspect. Lilith nodded slightly. I was wondering why she always likes to sing against you. TSK 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 TSK, facing an enemy like you who can neither beat nor talk. I guess from then on, the protagonist of all her nightmares will be you. Ah. Suddenly, Emily's scream came from the second floor. Wright was stunned for a moment. Why, she also had a nightmare. Before he finished speaking, a strong wind blew from the second floor. Emily was like a leaf in the wind, floating down the stairs to the first floor with a weird arc and speed. I did it. Look. Wind attribute, overload state. Who told you to wear this again? Wright was speechless. Emily was wearing the cool hot girl outfit she had modified herself. No, I was just going to take off my clothes and take a shower. But you know what? Emily gestured with her hands, bringing up a breeze every time. When I took off the outer wizard robe, I suddenly felt that I was back to normal. I hurriedly tried it again, and I didn't expect it to be so easy to succeed. Wright couldn't help but give a thumbs up after hearing this. Great. I thought it was your IQ that limited your performance, but it was your clothes. Lilith circled around Emily and finally said helplessly, "It is indeed an overload state, and it is very perfect. I can only say that the premise of overload is super sense, and wearing this set of clothes does help you maintain a very high sensitivity of super sense. So, you can complete the overload so quickly." Emily held Lilith's hands. "I think it's your theory that eating when you are hungry tastes better. I have been wearing thick clothes today, and only my face is exposed. But when I took off this heavy clothes, my super sense suddenly increased. I succeeded in an instant." Wright covered his face and said weakly, "When you go out in the future, don't say that I taught you these. I can't afford to lose this person. Don't worry. I have realized my own mistakes." "Really?" Emily nodded repeatedly. "Well, whether I go out or train in the future, I must dress properly. This is like the knights tying sandbags on their legs and hanging heavy objects on their bodies, which is weight training. I also have to do weight training on weekdays. Only when facing a truly powerful enemy can I show my hidden strength." After hearing this, Wright rolled his eyes and fell on the sofa again. Lilith saw this and hit him. "Isn't this good?" "Bullshit. Oh. She will go out to fight with others in the future and meet powerful characters. The more she fights, the less cloth on her body, but she becomes more and more energetic. Isn't this still a serious illness? It's better to wear cool clothes from the beginning and go out to fight quickly so that she looks normal." Just as the three of them were having fun, Flando ran in quickly. "Your Highness, the Master, His Highness Saint Taylor is here." "Oh, good." Wright snapped his fingers, and the gate of the manor opened, followed by heavy and steady footsteps. "Boss, I just received news that the Holy Rose Knights will arrive tomorrow." Lilith was stunned for a moment. "It shouldn't be. Their baggage is all destroyed. It should take at least a few more days for them to arrive." "Humph, it means someone is anxious. There is no one available in the city, so we have to urgently transfer people from outside. The more anxious she is, the more we can't quench her thirst. Taylor, you will bring people tomorrow and force the Holy Rose Knights to recruit me." As he said, Wright took out an envelope from his arms. "If someone tries to stop you, just read it." Chapter 67. Enough Sugar-Coated Bullets, Part 3. Early in the morning, Taylor led a group of people from the Holy New Army to wait at the main east gate. With the dawn, the Holy Rose Knights, who had been marching day and night, finally arrived at the base camp of the Holy Light Church, the Holy City. Their leader, Vanessa, hurried to the main east gate with 2 or 3 members of the Holy Temple. Looking at her shabby team, Taylor looked back at his brothers, who were marching in unison behind him, and immediately showed a disdainful smile. Vanessa frowned. "Taylor, what are you doing here?" "Call me Commander Taylor." Taylor did not care about the friendship between former classmates at all, and raised his chin slightly. "The one standing in front of you now is the Commander-in-Chief of the Holy New Army authorized by the Holy Knights and the Holy Light Church. My military rank is the same as the Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Holy Knights. Watch your tone. Your Excellency Vanessa, the acting president of the Holy Temple." Vanessa narrowed her eyes, and her intuition told her that the other party was not here with good intentions. She had only recently heard others mention this Holy New Army. "Captain Taylor, what are you doing here with your soldiers?" "To pick someone up, of course. But you, acting president, what are you doing here?" Vanessa walked to the side of Helen, deputy commander of the Holy Rose Knights. "I'm here to pick up my members of the Knights." "Acting president, I think you have made a mistake." Taylor walked to the members of the Holy Rose Knights with his hands behind his back. "The Holy Rose Knights are an independent knightly order affiliated with the Holy Knights. It belongs to the order and to the goddess of holy light. It is not your personal private soldier. You are not qualified to welcome them here. Only I, as a senior military official, am qualified to welcome these brave girls." Vanessa frowned. "The tone of your voice is really like that annoying person. Did he ask you to come?" "It was the military discipline of the order that asked me to come." Taylor was confident at this moment. "Sir Vanessa, don't forget. You are back now in the name of the special envoy of the mission. Although you have become the acting president of the temple, your rank and status in the army are still banned." "What? Are you trying to fish in troubled waters?" Vanessa sneered. "Of course not. I expected this a long time ago. As the acting president of the temple, I will now apply to invoke the 7th resolution of the Temple Vatican Agreement. When the president of the temple feels that the personal safety of himself or the core members of the temple is threatened, he can recruit paladins from the Knights Templar to protect his own safety. I want to hire them, as long as they are willing. Not even the military and political department of the Order and the Papal Palace can stop me. I expected it. Taylor took out the envelope given to him by Wright without panic, pulled out a piece of letter paper from it, and began to read it directly. Sir Vanessa, when you were expelled from the Holy City 4 years ago, you used the excuse that the journey back home was long and dangerous, and you drew the Holy Rose Knights from the Holy Knights Order as your guards. The procedure was legal and the formalities were complete. If you want to use Resolution 7 to recruit them, you must first lift the mission and allow the Holy Rose Knights to return to the Order. Otherwise, the Holy Rose Knights in the mission cannot be recruited. TSK. Vanessa looked at the letter in Taylor's hand and gritted her teeth. After weighing it, Vanessa waved to Helen. Helen, I will lift the mission of the Holy Rose Knights now, and you can return to the Order. But Princess, our mission documents have been lost. It's okay. We have reissued it for you. Taylor took out another document from the envelope, and in full view of everyone, Vanessa and Helen had to sign and seal in public. After Taylor put away the documents, Vanessa took Helen's hand and said, "Come on, I've prepared food for you." Wait a minute. Emergency military order. What? Taylor ignored the angry Vanessa and waved behind him. The messenger of the Holy New Army immediately came out with a large poster and began to sing aloud. According to the order of His Highness Saint Light, the temporary agent of the Holy Power, the Holy City will enter an emergency war state from the date of the issuance of the communique. This agent will form the Holy New Army in the name of the Order and the Holy See, and take full control of the defense and security of the Holy City. Due to the emergency, Saint Taylor, the Commander-in-Chief of the Holy New Army, has the right to force conscription. The recruited paladins must serve in the Holy New Army for at least a full week before they are allowed to apply for a transfer order. This resolution is based on the emergency war state and has the highest priority. Wait. Vanessa was very unconvinced. Our 7th resolution also has the highest priority. Taylor smiled and took the letter and began to read it again. Yes. But there is one thing. This emergency military order was issued 7 days ago. Although you used Resolution 7, your application is now. Therefore, after the Holy Rose Knights return to the Order, they must first execute the emergency military order and then execute your application. Therefore, they have been forcibly incorporated into the Holy New Army. Because the Holy New Army is a new army jointly affiliated with the Holy See and the Order, it is not covered by Resolution 7, and you have no right to hire members of our Holy New Army. Therefore, these members of the Holy Rose Knights must follow me. Vanessa rushed forward in 3 or 2 steps and grabbed the letter in Taylor's hand. Taylor did not hide or defend and let the other party take it away. As a result, Vanessa took it in her hand and saw that Taylor had just finished reading the last paragraph, and there was only a line of small words at the end. See the back. There was also a small arrow. Vanessa turned it over and saw a line of big words on the back of the letter. What are you looking at? Damn it. Vanessa tore the letter in her hand to pieces and then saw Taylor slowly took out a new piece of letter from the envelope. It's no use for you to be angry. Now in the Holy City, my rules are the rules. You are the acting president of the temple, and you can initiate the resolution application. But it has taken almost a week to go through this set of procedures. Although the Holy Rose Knights were founded by you, the members swore allegiance to the Goddess of Holy Light, and they joined the Holy Knights first. Are you trying to be clever in front of me? Do you think that I don't like to go through the process, so I won't care about these details? Let me tell you, I don't want to go through the process because I'm too familiar with it. Please distinguish the cause and effect. Thank you. After reading it, Taylor handed over the letter very considerately and asked with a smile, "Do you want to tear it up? Don't think you have one. My members are on the same page with me. You can't stop me." Taylor sneered, pulled out another piece of paper from the envelope, and deliberately started to read it in a hoarse voice. "Lady Vanessa, actually, letting the girls go with us is a good deed. The reputation of the Temple Council is so bad, I believe that no store in the entire Holy City is willing to serve you. You let them rush here day and night. Have you found a place for them to live? What do you mean by preparing food? It can't be just bread and water. Let them follow you. Will they go hungry for 9 meals in 3 days and sleep in the stable at night? The new Holy Army understands the girls' hard work and specially prepares luxurious meals and concierge level accommodation for them. There are also private swimming pools and luxurious bathing palaces, and countless store coupons and VIP cards. 4 years of suffering will be rewarded today. Brave Holy Roses, come this way. This is a military order. You can't refuse it. Breaking news. Our book will be on the shelves on New Year's Day. Huang Dao is begging for a wave of first orders here. I beg all readers to support it. There will definitely be a burst of updates after it is on the shelves. And it will continue to be burst. I guarantee that everyone will enjoy it. Chapter 68. The Porter of Human Weaknesses, seeking follow-up reading. Early in the morning, Wright brought Lilith and the other two to a large manor. Although the location here is not as prestigious as Wright's, the area is really large. Emily's eyes widened. Wow. This place is almost the same as my manor. There is such a large and luxurious manor in the holy city. This person's status is not low, right? Yesterday, he was one of the permanent directors of the temple council, but because he resisted arrest during the arrest, he has been imprisoned in the Black Iron Prison. Lilith was stunned for a moment. Wait, isn't the Black Iron Prison for prisoners with disaster levels? Special approval. Wright walked into the manor with his hands behind his back, and the housekeepers and servants inside bowed and saluted. But the trembling bodies still exposed their inner fear. When the people from the Holy Rose Knights arrive, let them stay here. In less than 2 days, I can make them all turn against us. We can also get some information from them during these 2 days. If they don't know about Vanessa's dealings with the Tower of Truth, we should separate them before they get involved. If they are involved, we can only deal with them together according to the law. Under Wright's instructions, the people in the manor began to prepare a big meal and clean up the house. When they were almost ready, Taylor arrived here with the female knights. Everyone. Wright stood at the door to greet everyone. Welcome to the Holy Rose Manor. It seems that there are my old friends in the crowd. I haven't seen you for 4 years. I really miss you. Hearing Wright deliberately emphasize the fact that they haven't seen each other for 4 years, Lilith rolled her eyes. Deputy Head Helen bowed and saluted. Your Highness, we meet again. I didn't expect that your highness would prepare such a grand welcome ceremony. We are really unworthy of it. But on the way here, we have reached a consensus. Please let us go back to the head of the group. Otherwise, we will go on a hunger strike to protest. Go back. Of course I will let you go back. There is no use for me to keep you. Wright agreed to the other party's request, which made Taylor stunned. But then, he changed the subject. But, the process is still going on, and the documents are still being reviewed. Without a military order, how can you, the 36 fully armed paladins, follow the ass of the acting president of the temple all day long? It's not justified. And if it gets out, won't the paladin order be embarrassed? Do we still have military discipline? Do we still have rules? Are paladins such a casual group? Don't you only have your leader in your hearts, and don't even have the collective sense of honor of the paladins? Helen opened her mouth, but finally sighed helplessly. Your Highness is still so eloquent. We can't argue with you, but we also have our persistence. Okay. I appreciate your character. Let me put it this way. Don't say that I don't take care of my old friends. Wright clapped his hands. Originally, these procedures would take at least a week. For Vanessa's sake, I have expedited it and promised to complete the process within 3 days. Today, I will give you another face. I'll give you a number. Special matters will be handled specially. 1.5 days. Today is half a day, tomorrow is a full day, and the approval documents will be guaranteed to be approved the day after tomorrow morning. If you can accept it, let's do it this way. If you don't accept it, you can go on a hunger strike, or do whatever you want. I will let Taylor send you to the military and political department directly, and you can talk to them. Even after being away for 4 years, the girls were still silent when they heard the 3 words military and political department. Seeing this, Helen sighed helplessly. Your Highness, you are too polite. It is us who are ignorant and have caused trouble to you and the church. It will be a day and a half, and thank you for your trouble. Now, can we go have a meal and take a rest? Yes, Your Highness. Helen led the female knight into the manor, and soon other servants came to greet them. Taylor came over quickly. "Boss, why are you still begging them to stay? In my opinion, just send them to the military and political department." And these 7 days became 3 days, and 3 days became 1.5 days. Isn't this too easy for them? Lilith chuckled twice. Your boss only planned to take 1.5 days from the beginning. Taylor suddenly realized, but was worried. 1.5 days, is it enough? They have been with Vanessa for 4 years. Of course it's not enough to make them sever this friendship, but it's more than enough to make Vanessa suspicious and no longer trust them. Wright pointed at the girls who entered the manor. "Here with me, they live in the manor, eat big meals, are served by servants, and sleep in luxurious single rooms. Tomorrow I will take them on a prosperous day trip to the holy city, where they can eat, drink and have fun. They are determined, and will not be corrupted by sugar-coated bullets. Even if they are released at that time, if you were Vanessa, would you still dare to use them?" Hiss. Taylor took a breath of cold air. "Then I really have to think about it. What if it is some top secret mission that goes against the church and violates the holy light? Then we should be even more suspicious." "Wow. Boss, you are still ruthless. You have grasped the weaknesses of human nature." Wright spread his hands. "I never produce human weaknesses. I'm just a carrier of human weaknesses. Come here, I will show you what big transport is." It must be said that the former executive director of Sainton is still quite good at enjoying life. His chef team is very good, and the servants are also very obedient. Under the service of these people, the hungry girls finally had a good meal, took a comfortable bath, and the color on their faces faded a lot. After they were almost done, Wright appeared in front of them with the people around him. Deputy Leader Helen was very sensible. "Your Highness, thank you so much for your hospitality." The other members of the group also thanked him, but their eyes looking at Wright were full of vigilance. This is understandable. After all, for 4 years, the dummies they used for practice all had his portraits on them. Now the real person suddenly appeared in front of them, and was so nice to them. The sense of disjunction made them feel a little at a loss. "Everyone, I have good news for you. I just confirmed with the Vatican that I can use the Pope's special decree to complete your process directly. In other words, you can go directly to Vanessa now." Helen's eyes widened immediately. "Really?" Although she was very excited, the members behind her had different expressions. Wright saw it and remembered it in his heart. "But this special signature order can only be used once a month, and it is very precious. I'm afraid others will have objections if I use it on you. How about this? I'll arrange a battle trial for you. I will summon 36 Holy Light Guards to fight against your Holy Rose Knights. If you win, it will prove that you are the strongest independent guard. It is reasonable to send you to the acting president Vanessa as soon as possible. But if you lose, you have to give up the special quota, and 1.5 days will become 3 days. How about it?" Lilith couldn't help but muttered softly when she heard it. "It's so vicious." Emily didn't understand. "What's so vicious about it? This is so good. It gives them a chance. What do you choose?" "Well, agree. Then when you lose, 1.5 days will become 3 days. Will your superiors blame you for being stupid and messing up? Then I don't agree. If you are useless, even if you are given a chance, will your superiors blame you for not working hard? Don't you want to go back early?" Emily rubbed her head. "What's going on? No matter which choice I make, it's wrong. So he's poisonous." "No. If he wins, then, what am I thinking?" At this moment, Helen was also struggling. Wright saw this and smiled. "Then I promise that the ranks of all the light guards will be the same as yours. How about it? If not, I'll make them 1 rank lower than your average." Helen frowned and nodded reluctantly. "Okay, we agree. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. Add 100 million blessings. TSK, TSK, TSK. Seeing Helen agreed, Lilith sighed and shook her head. Emily was confused. "Lilith, what's wrong?" This person actually used this method to force the other party to agree. Ah, no way. Lilith quietly lowered her voice. If Helen doesn't agree, Light will keep downgrading the level of the Holy Light Guard to the lowest level 1. Then, what if she still doesn't agree? Don't agree. As a paladin, you don't even dare to fight against the first level enemy. Why do you apply to protect the acting president? Not to mention 3 days, the application was directly rejected. Emily thought, but if she agrees, the first level can always beat it, right? That Helen, but a holy level. And the team members under her, a lot of 5th and 4th level. They are all elites among the paladins. A battle group that has been running in for many years. After all, they should have the strength to fight. The other 3 did not comment. Taylor and Flander were blindly worshipping, and Lilith knew Light too well. At this time, Wright was still guiding them. The Holy Light Guards need to be controlled. I have 2 plans here. The first is called preloading. I will set the guards how to fight in advance, and I will not care about it later. The second is called real time. I will not perform any operations before the duel begins, but I will control the guards in real time. Which one do you choose? Before Helen started to choose, Taylor suddenly squatted down, holding his stomach. What's wrong with you, Highness Taylor? My stomach hurts, and the dead memories suddenly start to attack me. Taylor covered his stomach with one hand and his head with the other, his face pale. Back then, I was young and energetic, and I went to challenge the boss for the 3rd time, and he happened to develop the Holy Guard Advent. In short, I vomited that time. Now it's cloudy and rainy, and I still have stomach ash all over my body. Wright quickly stood aside in front of Helen. Don't choose. I'll give you 2 chances. You can experience it. Come on. Come this way. Let's go to the backyard of the manor. Wright deceived and coaxed the girls of the Holy Rose Knights to the backyard and opened a huge holy light defense barrier. Although Wright invited him warmly, the 4 people still insisted that they would just observe outside the barrier. Looking at the girls of the Holy Rose Knights dressed neatly, Wright spread his hands. Which one do you want to try for the first time? Preload. Helen discussed with the members. In their opinion, the plan is dead, but people are alive. They knew that Wright was powerful, but they didn't believe that the other party could predict all the directions of the battle. Therefore, the first option had a greater chance of winning. Taylor, who was far away, felt even more stomach ache when he saw this scene. Wright smiled slightly and activated the secret technique, the Advent of the Holy Guard, and directly summoned 36 Holy Light Guards. In order to highlight the preferential policy, he specially summoned the 3rd level guards, which were 1 level weaker than the weakest members of the other party. Okay, then I will start preloading the play. Helen also took the sisters to prepare for battle and formed an offensive formation. Then, they saw an unforgettable scene. Wright stood in place and began to bless these light guards frantically. God of Holy Light, Guardian of Holy Light, Holy Advent, Holy Praise, Blessing of the Goddess, Hymn of the Heroic Spirit, Judgment of Light, Revenge of Light, Contract of Light, Aura of Faith, Aura of Piety, Supreme Holy Glory, Blessing of the Soul, Soul Stirring, Gift of Courage, Gift of Healing, Gift of Speed. Various auras, blessings, and praises, adding in various ways. All the blessings in the entire Holy Light system were applied by Wright. There were also more than a dozen secret methods that he invented and figured out. When he stopped, the 36 Holy Guards could no longer be seen in human form. They all turned into shining balls of light covered by various halos of blessings. 10 minutes. Just applying these blessings took a full 10 minutes. During these 10 minutes, the onlookers were already sluggish, and their bodies were stiff and their scalps were numb. The members of the Holy Rose Knights on the opposite side also changed from the initial offensive formation to the defensive formation, and finally rested on the spot. What kind of game is this? This is really a game. With so many blessings, is there any point in the Holy Light Guards being the 3rd level or the 1st level? Helen's mood at the moment is indescribable. She originally thought that the so-called preloading was a strategy and tactics. Oh, so it's a preloading like this. Yes, if it's a preloading like this, what kind of strategy and tactics are needed? Just push it straight over and win. Okay, I'm ready. Let's start. We admit defeat. Helen chose to give up immediately, and Lilith spoke highly of it. Not bad, judging the situation. Not wasting a bit of energy on a battle that can't be won, and not exposing any intelligence on our side. It can be regarded as keeping the loss to a minimum. This deputy leader is a good talent. Light looked at the 36 light balls and was a little unhappy. You should have said it earlier. One of the Holy Rose girls held her holy spear and said weakly, actually, we wanted to say it. But everyone is very curious about how many kinds of blessing spells Lord Light knows. Light clapped his hands and looked at Taylor. Look, I said that girls would be much more obedient. If it were the bunch of bastards in the Holy New Army, they might have started betting a long time ago. Civilization construction must be vigorously promoted. We are paladins after all. Emily was shocked and came to Lilith. To be honest, if he didn't say it, I almost forgot that he was a paladin. Emily. Here. I saw you whispering. Wright tapped her with his hand. Watch me now. I'll take this opportunity to teach you the third level of elemental theory overclocking. Emily immediately became interested when she heard this. Wright waved his hand and dispersed all 36 light balls and then summoned a new group of holy guards. Then, light element began to gather crazily on his body. Emily, remember this. The first level of the element, Super Sense, improves your perception of the element. The second level, Overload, improves your ability to contain and store the element. The third level, Overclocking, improves your absolute control over the element. You have to control the element in your body and let them flow through your body. Eventually, you will reach a state of extreme transportation. In the overclocking state, your mental power will be developed and applied to the maximum extent. Instant magic is no longer a dream, and precise control is easy. At the same time, the magic element in your body will also enter a high energy state, and the power of magic will be greatly improved. In a word, the overclocking level can make your combat effectiveness a qualitative leap. But now, I only use the part that improves mental power. As Wright's mental power flowed, the appearance of the 36 holy guards turned into his appearance. Moreover, the movements and expressions of the 36 holy guards were all different. Just showing this skill surprised Helen and others. How could one person control 36 individuals so finely, and even have the leisure to depict their appearance so vividly? I heard that the imaginary enemy you usually train with is me, and you even hang my portrait as a target. Wright scratched his ears, and the holy guards formed a battle formation that they had never seen before. I hope this formation can inspire your fighting spirit. Come on, try to break my sky covering formation first. Chapter 70, Let the Cracks Spread, Part 3. Helen's heart was in despair at the moment. In the tide-like attack of the holy guards, their defense was stretched to the limit. 36 enemies were so flexible that their fingers could bend at will, just like living people. But these living people seemed to have a common brain that allowed them to synchronize perfectly, and every cooperation was seamless, advancing and retreating in moderation. It was like telepathy. The most terrifying thing was that the battle formation used by the holy guards was very exquisite, and the style had never been seen before. It had infinite changes, and could be used for attack and defense. Coupled with the exquisite cooperation of 36 people, the entire battle group was like a living creature with life. No, it was a monster. The powerful battle formation that they were proud of was simply incomparable. Defensive formation, charge formation, quick attack formation. It was so simple and crude that it seemed like a joke. Wright stood outside the battle with his hands behind his back, strolling leisurely, as if the 36 killing gods on the battlefield had nothing to do with him. Emily clenched her fists excitedly. As an elemental magician, she truly felt the charm of the third realm overclocking. And she felt that overclocking was definitely not the end. There must be a higher realm above this. Why, you still don't open your domain? Wright suddenly spoke, and everyone was stunned at first, and then they all looked at Helen, the deputy leader of the Holy Rose Knights. This outstanding female knight has reached the holy level at a young age. This achievement is not something that everyone can achieve, even if they are apprentice saints and saints. Helen was very entangled at the moment. After all, the enemy they were fighting against was of a lower rank than them, and everyone had a similar number of people. In this case, if she still opened her domain, it would be a bit unchivalrous. Open it casually. Don't forget, your opponent is actually me. Hearing Wright say this, Helen immediately made up her mind. To deal with Saint Wright, she actually wanted to hide her shortcomings. She was arrogant. Holy. With a roar, Helen's aura exploded. Although it was invisible to the naked eye, everyone present could feel that a force field was rapidly opening with Helen as the center. The female knights, who were enveloped by this force field, suddenly returned to the water like stranded fish. Their speed, strength and endurance were greatly enhanced, and their synergy was steadily improving. While enjoying the blessing of the domain, they were also feeding back their strength to the domain. The weak were supported by the strong, and the losses were gradually balanced, and the battle group became more and more like a whole. The originally precarious battle situation suddenly became stable. They even had spare energy to launch a good counterattack. Talent. 10 aside, I didn't expect her sanctuary to be beneficial to group combat. She is simply a natural leader of the battle group. I'm really curious about the real effect of her sanctuary. Lilith shook her head. How can I tell others about such a life and death matter? But no matter what it is, it's useless. Sure enough, after seeing the other party open the domain, Wright stretched out his hand and swiped towards the battlefield. In a flash, all 36 holy guards were divided into two, and the number of people increased to 72. Although the strength of each individual has dropped, the overall situation has changed dramatically, and the offensive has become more rapid. The situation that had just stabilized suddenly became precarious again. Your domain is not yet mature enough. Practice harder. Wright made another move with his finger, and the 72 became 144 people, attacking from 4 directions at the same time. In a blink of an eye, the Holy Rose Knights were defeated, and each of them had a blade of light on their necks. Seeing that the defeat was inevitable, Helen was very unwilling. She repelled the Holy Guard in front of her, and rushed towards Wright. Ha 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 ha, you just thought of the correct answer now? Unfortunately, it's too late. Wright hooked his finger, and all the Holy Guards gathered together and blocked Helen. At this time, the Holy Guards had also advanced to the 4th level. Overclocking, but very strong. The 4th level Holy Guard raised the light blade in his hand, and slashed towards Helen. The surging holy light rushed in like a flood, and Helen had to put up her body protecting fighting spirit to resist. Even with the blessing of the domain, she still took a step back. This step completely crushed her pride. Under the overclocking state, not only the energy level of the element is improved, but the efficiency of use is also close to 100%. Wright did not forget to impart knowledge to Emily at this moment. In the eyes of others, it seems that the power beyond the current grade is exerted. In fact, it is not the case. That is the true power of this grade. It's just that other people who can't reach the overclocking can't use their full strength. Wright put his hands behind his back and looked at Helen, who was half kneeling on the ground. You are also very good, much better than I expected. Out of appreciation and respect, I will not take away your special quota. 1.5 days is still 1.5 days. Everyone is very tired today, so go to bed early tonight. Tomorrow morning, I will take you to the holy city to have a good time. You have worked hard for 4 years, and you are out on a mission anyway. Tomorrow is a day off, and it is a good opportunity to see what the holy city looks like now after 4 years away. I have something else to do, so I will go back first. See you tomorrow morning. Leaving the defeated and dazed Holy Roses behind, Wright waved his hand and left the manor with the 4 melon eating group. Walking on the road, Emily asked in confusion, why is it still a day and a half in the end? Wouldn't you fail to achieve your goal of extending the time? After so long, your brain is still running at the same speed. Look at Taylor. Although his brain speed was low before, it has obviously improved now. People didn't ask. Taylor rubbed his stomach. Boss, I still have a stomachache. Right side. Flando, what do you think? The master is trying to win people's hearts, using both kindness and force, hitting them with a stick, and then giving them a sweet date. At the same time, he also proved that he was not deliberately making things difficult for them, nor did he intend to extend the time to let them let down their guard. Moreover, I believe in the master. 1 day is enough for him to get the desired effect, and there is no need to extend it for another 2 days. Finally, he also hit the enthusiasm of the Holy Rose Knights. Let them realize that they can't make any waves in front of the Master. They can't even beat the holy guards he summoned, let alone help. After realizing that they are insignificant, their vigilance will also decrease. If they are defeated miserably, they probably won't be embarrassed to say that they want to perform the protection mission. Lilith came forward. Good analysis, but you missed one thing. What? Humph. He also took revenge. Right, a rapist. Wright didn't mind at all. What's wrong with men being lustful? Besides, what's good for a man if he's not lustful? Good at oil? Boss said it well. What is oil? A very moist thing in my hometown. Wright turned and looked at Lilith and the other two. Beautiful girls, I have a small task for you tomorrow. When shopping in the commercial street, try to lure the holy roses away in groups of 3 or 2, and let them be as scattered as possible. Let the crack called suspicion spread freely. Chapter 71. Do you desire success? Seeking follow-up reading. After Light and Taylor parted at the intersection, they sent Lilith and the other two back to the manor. He did not stay at home, but went directly to the Chamber of Commerce headquarters on the commercial street. In the meeting room on the 2nd floor, the remaining temple councillors and permanent directors had been waiting for a whole morning. Grandad, who was sitting in the first seat, was chatting with the bard Idris, looking very leisurely. But the others at the conference table did not think so. They sat upright one by one. Although the room was very comfortable, some of them were sweating profusely, with beads of sweat dripping down. Others were shivering, as if they were shivering from the cold. Finally, when several of them were about to collapse, Light finally came to the meeting room. Sorry, everyone, I'm late. Today, a group of paladins who had been on a mission outside for 4 years suddenly returned, and I arranged a place for them to stay. How is it going? I think everyone has thought it through, right? Grandad and Idris quickly made way for Wright to sit down, and then stood behind him on the left and right. However, in the face of Wright's questions, these congressmen hesitated, and didn't say a word. Wright sighed, and suddenly slapped the table, which scared everyone present. If you have something to say, we'd better say it directly. Don't you all support Vanessa, just to use this as an excuse, to get more benefits from the Vatican? Everyone present is smart. No one would really think that the so-called Lancer Princess has a chance to overthrow the current church system and become the new decision maker, right? No way. No way. No way. If you still want to wait and maximize your interests before asking for conditions, then I tell you, don't be wishful thinking. We already have evidence to prove that your acting president is related to the remnants of the Tower of Truth. I'm not forcing you to take sides. I'm saving your lives. If you jump off the boat now, I can still catch you. But if it's too late, even if you want to jump off the boat, we won't let you jump again. It's in both the sociological and biological sense. No more jumping. One of the congressmen looked at Wright with a sneer. Your Highness, you can't say that casually. There must be evidence for everything. You can't just say whatever you say, right? Wright was unmoved. Yes, I said yes. Let's see whether the people believe you or me, Temple Counselor. Everyone, think about your already stinking reputation. Also think about how the temple is a filthy synonym in the eyes of the believers. Wake up, I give you face. If you don't want it, don't blame me for being ruthless. As soon as these words came out, all the counselors present changed color. They were not put in by the tribunal, and they were basically the ones who could be saved. Although they were not very clean, at least they could atone for their sins and have the opportunity to reform. What Wright said was not wrong. Now, whether in terms of legal theory or public opinion, the initiative is in his hands. What he says is what it is. Of course, as long as you are willing to cooperate, there will be more benefits in the future. Although I, Wright, have many bad habits, there is one thing, that is, I protect my own people and I can't bear to see my own people being wronged. But there is also one thing, I have very strict requirements for the conduct of my own people. The ship is here. Whether you get on or not has no effect on the ship. But for you, it is a matter of life and death. Under Wright's indifferent gaze, the leading permanent director stood up. Your Highness, we never want to be your enemy. You are willing to take us in and give us a way to live, which is a great favor. But we have sworn in the name of the Holy Light before. We can't support anyone other than Her Highness Vanessa to become the president. Although we are not clergy of the Holy See, we are also believers of the Holy Light. This oath cannot be violated either. Wright raised his eyebrows and laughed. Who said that you should support someone else to become the president? As soon as this was said, everyone present was surprised. Even Grandit and Idris were no exception. The bard quickly lowered his body to report, but Wright waved his hand to stop him. I need you to elect another vice president. After hearing this, everyone suddenly realized. Yes, if you want to check and balance Vanessa, there is no need to elect a president. Just one more vice president, and then her qualification as acting president will be untenable. 2 vice presidents and several permanent directors will form a cabinet and jointly assume the responsibilities of the president. And supporting another person to become vice president does not violate the oath they initiated. Great. Why didn't we think of it? Don't worry, Your Highness. We have no problem with this at all. Let's just say that we fully agree. Very good. Wright smiled with satisfaction. Remember what you said and make the choice you promised at the emergency meeting in 3 days. Okay, let's stop here today. Grandit, don't forget the gifts when you see everyone off. Yes, boss. Grandit immediately put on a full smile. Everyone, please come this way. While Grandit was seeing off the parliamentarians, Idris quickly placed a stack of research results in front of Wright. Sir, I have translated all the words on the bronze pedestal. As you expected, the Light Hunter is indeed a sacred weapon. The armor on the bronze statue is authentic. The reason why it has become so large is because it has the ability to adapt to the wearer. The material of the armor is an extremely rare magic gold. After the Dwarf Master's superb forging technology and the blessing of ancient dragon magic, it has the ability to be immune to light attribute attacks. Yes, as long as it is light, no matter it is magic, fighting spirit, or even divine spells, it cannot cause damage to it. But you don't have to worry about the versatility issue you have been mentioning. Whether it is the forging process, rare materials or the engraved magic array, it cannot be reproduced. Basically, it is a unique piece handed down from generation to generation. After flipping through it, Wright nodded slightly. Not bad, you did a good job. Just at this time, Grandad returned to the meeting room after sending people away and came to Wright. Boss, we've sent them all off, all with smiles on their faces. Humph, these guys are still the same. Mercenary people have mercenary ways. Grandad, the position of vice president of the parliament. Grandad shook his head again and again. Boss, please forgive me. Every time I go to give gifts, I have to hold my nose and bite the bullet. The president of the Chamber of Commerce already has a lot of things to do, and I don't want to take over the mess of the temple. For things like this, it's best to have someone with ideals and ambitions who is deeply saddened by the current situation of the temple. As Grandad spoke, he looked at Idris who was standing aside. Wright also looked at him and nodded with satisfaction. It's really good. Idris was so scared that he stepped back repeatedly. Sir, I can't do it. I'm just a good talker. Good talker is not a shortcoming, and you did a great job on this emergency translation. You withstood the pressure, guaranteed the quality and quantity, and delivered it on time. You can be relied on at the critical moment. The temple needs talents like you. Idris was very nervous, but I didn't. Wright stood up and put his hands on his shoulders. Idris, are you eager to succeed? Chapter 72 God's Limitations. I want to succeed. I want to succeed. I will definitely succeed. After 10 minutes of guidance, Idris was so excited that his face was red and his neck was thick. He clenched his fists and shouted hoarsely. Wright clapped his hands. Very good. Idris, tell me, what does success mean to you? Success is an inevitable result. It is the goal of struggle. Success is my unchanging belief in this life. I come for success. I live for success. My life is a journey to success. Idris, who are you? I'm an eagle soaring between heaven and earth. I want to fly over the blue sky and white clouds. Let the world hear my story. I'm the chosen one. And the only one. Go, eagle. Prepare your inaugural speech. 3 days later. Take off. Fly as hard as you can. Yes, sir. Idris strode away, and Grandad, who witnessed the whole process, wiped his cold sweat frantically. Just now, he was not within the scope of his boss's teachings, but just being touched a little made him feel excited. At the time, I just felt my blood boiling, and I wanted to rush out to the street and find a criminal to kill me. Now that I have calmed down, I can't help but feel scared when I think back to the time when I was dominated by my emotions. What are you thinking about? Oh, boss, I don't quite understand why we have to wait until 3 days later. You have a special decree from the Pope, so you can hold the ceremony tonight and complete the election directly. Wouldn't that be a fatal blow? Wright shook his finger. You have to consider the purpose and the results separately. 3 days are not for Vanessa, but for the people behind Vanessa. They must take action against me before then. Otherwise the hunting light armor they have worked so hard to get will become ineffective. The reason for leaving 3 days is for their sake. If the time is too tight, they may not have time to prepare for the offensive. If the time is too loose, it will be difficult for them to have a sense of urgency and they may procrastinate. This is the most annoying part. The force must be clever. Too much or too little will cause problems. Grandad sighed repeatedly. Boss, you are really worried about the boss lady. If you were as hot-tempered as before. When Grandad said this, he seemed to remember the bloody Holy Advent ceremony 3 years ago, and he shuddered. The figure that could not be stopped even by the goddess herself has always been a lingering nightmare in the hearts of many self-righteous people. When you are supposed to die, he will come to kill you. Those so-called identities, status, wealth, bloodline, those things that are used to be arrogant and domineering in daily life, those things that can be used to do whatever you want. It's useless. Since then, no matter which side, everyone has suddenly become much more disciplined. Don't talk so much, do your own thing. Do you also want to succeed? Boss, don't worry, I still remember the encouragement you gave me last time. Let's go. Wright said goodbye to Grandad, left the Chamber of Commerce, and walked towards home. As a result, not far away, he saw the Cardinal walking hurriedly. Right. I finally found you. Bishop Delman. What are you doing? There are many people here, let's talk here. Delman pulled right into a small alley and stretched out his hand to cast a light barrier. What's going on? Why are you so mysterious? Bishop Delman took out a stack of information. We found the Holy Dragon of Light in our temple. Wright looked at him calmly, turned around and walked out of the barrier, but was stopped by Delman. Why are you leaving? Archbishop, tell me the truth. Did you sign up for the auditions for the triennial debt collection competition? You have to understand that, even if we are acquaintances, I can't accompany you to practice jokes here. Now you have found it? Do you still need to find it? The Cardinal waved his hand. Oh, take a look first. Wright took the intelligence report with disdain, and just read one page. He felt sick. What the hell? That's not the Holy Dragon of Light. That's Chimera. What a joke. Wright felt that he had traveled in the surrounding countries and regions for 3 years, and he could already pat his chest and say that he had seen all kinds of outrageous things. But after seeing these materials, he still sighed from the bottom of his heart that he had never seen such an outrageous thing. According to the investigation report, the First Empire once excavated an ancient battlefield within its borders and found the remains of the Holy Dragon of Light. This matter was then kept strictly confidential, but the Empire then began to secretly collect various rare and exotic animals, mostly of light attributes. There was even a time when the First Empire offered a high price to purchase the blood of the Phoenix, but in the end it came to nothing. I don't know if we have really found it. We have searched a large number of ancient books and resurveyed the Holy Dragon of Light in detail. The final conclusion is that the one following Vanessa is slightly different in appearance. Moreover, it is a mutation that is unlikely to occur in normal growth. We haven't seen a real Holy Dragon of Light for too long, and even pure-blooded dragons are rarely seen. That's why they fooled us last time. She is more like a stitched beast that is pieced together with a Holy Dragon of Light as the main structure, that is, a chimera. We even doubt whether she is really a biological creature. Or is she some kind of alchemical life form like the Flask Man? Wright narrowed his eyes slightly, typical Tower of Truth style. Yes. Great. Archbishop, we didn't get any information last time, but this time we can get such secret information. Did you also lay off employees and increase efficiency in the Red Temple? Delman was very dissatisfied. How long are you going to talk about this? This time is different. We have locked the query target, and then we will naturally be able to search for it around this key point. Wright nodded slightly in agreement. It was like a person randomly browsing a video website, and he might not find anything. But if he was given a keyword or the name of the leading actor, he could search accurately and not miss a single one. The Cardinal took the information back. Now the evidence is conclusive. As long as we report it to the goddess truthfully, we can ask the goddess to directly list her as an apostate. Take back the blessing of holy light for her. Without the blessing, she will not be able to use the holy light fighting key, and she will become immortal. No matter what she does, she can't make any waves. Wright was speechless. You spent so much effort just to prevent her from using holy light. It's useless. Do you think the goddess of holy light can ban me? The Cardinal curled his lips. You are a special case. I don't believe Vanessa can do it. Archbishop, there are only two of us here, so I will say something blasphemous. Aphra is just a god of law. There are many things she can't do. She can only obey the laws of holy light. She is powerless if the laws have not granted her. The most she can do is to prevent Vanessa from using the divine spells and fighting skills in the holy light system, and let her holy light fighting key lose the added divinity so that its power is greatly reduced, or just go down and beat her to death. That's all. According to records, when the Tower of Truth was destroyed, there were several light magicians among the enemies. Very tricky. Why didn't they ask Aphra to help and prohibit them from using light element or the law of light? She couldn't do it. Even if she completed the promotion and became a god of rules and could make rules, it would be difficult to do it. She is a god of light, but not the owner of light. Although the doctrine is very boastful and omnipotent, but the reality is that gods and following their hearts are two different things. And I think that, since the remnants of the Tower of Truth can even create the Holy Dragon of Light, they probably thought of this a long time ago. The Holy Dragon of Light itself has a lot of authority over the law of Holy Light, and with her by Vanessa's side, I'm afraid that the sanctions of the Goddess of Holy Light will not have much effect. The Cardinal was unwilling. Then how? We finally got so much information, but it was wasted. It's not in vain. You go and organize the information and send it to Dragon Island. Find something for the First Empire to do. Chapter 73 finally took the bait. 3 more chapters. When Wright returned home, it was already dark. For some reason, the 3 girls went to the kitchen to cook and eat. When Wright came back, it was too late. The scene was indescribable. The battle was extremely fierce and even tragic. In short, the kitchen was in a stable mood and passed away peacefully. Pots and pans were buried with it, and the thick smoke and flour on the ground were the grand ceremony of its death. The 3 beautiful girls stood in a row, lowered their heads to look at their toes, and their fingers were clasped together. In the end, the instigator of everything, the organizer of the event, the chief creative officer, Miss Lilith from the demon world, spoke first. Right, you may not believe it, it was the kitchen that started it. Yeah, I can see it. Wright had no choice but to condense 3 holy crows and let them go to the Holy Rose Manor, and let the people there prepare a luxurious lunch, and send it to his own manor. After such a big circle, Wright and the other 4 finally had dinner before the sunset. At the dinner table, Wright talked about the information provided by the Cardinal as a topic of conversation. To him, the 3 people at the table would not talk nonsense. Not to mention, this information would be of no value in 2 or 3 days. Chimera. So disappointing. Emily stirred the soup. This is the first time I've seen a real dragon. I didn't expect it to be a chimera. Wright glanced at her. First of all, in terms of rarity, chimeras are rarer than so-called dragons. Secondly, in terms of strength, the average level of the dragon family is indeed very high. But the strength of the chimera is hard to say. A weak chimera may be killed by a kick. A strong chimera can even wipe out Dragon Island. After all, its combat effectiveness depends on the raw materials and technology used to create the chimera. Lilith chewed the meatball noodles and did not forget to comment, if it is a chimera, the danger is even higher. After all, there are records of the Holy Dragon of Light in the classics, and it can be judged by common sense. Chimera. Who knows what strange means or killer moves it has been sewn with. Wright shook his head. It's unlikely. Their technical strength is limited. It is impossible for them to hide so many killer moves while ensuring the similarity. But the point is not on this. Vanessa has never been troubled. By the way, the enemy has been forced into a desperate situation by me. So tomorrow when we go shopping, it will be the best time for them to launch an attack. By then, Lilith. Lilith nodded slightly. Don't worry. Just do your thing with peace of mind. You must be bored after so many days, right? In the name of the devil. It's okay to be a little excessive. Wright didn't speak, but just chewed the vegetable salad in big mouthfuls. After dinner, Wright closed the kitchen door and locked it. He planned to have a good sleep today, and he would clean up this mess when he was free. Fortunately, his precious seasonings and spices were still there, otherwise he would start to run wild tonight. Wright slept soundly all night without saying a word. After washing up, he went to the first floor and found that the 3 beautiful girls had already dressed up and were waiting for him early. How rare. You're so well behaved and come out so early today. Because the kitchen is ruined, don't we have to go out to the Holy Rose Manor for breakfast? Let's go. It doesn't matter if ordinary people don't eat breakfast. Lilith pouted. What do you know? Women who don't eat breakfast will age quickly. None of your business. The first ray of sunlight in the morning shone in the manor. Wright, wearing a new hat, took Emily and Flando to the carriage and headed towards the Holy Rose Manor. After the 2 battles yesterday, the girls of the Holy Rose were not as arrogant as they were at the beginning. When they saw Wright, they no longer had the urge to stab him. Their awe-inspiring and fearful eyes made Wright very happy. Of course, it could also be because his new hat was too unique. Calm down now. If you bite again, it will really bleed. I apologize to you, okay? You are the eternal beauty. Humph. After getting a satisfactory answer, Lilith finally relaxed, landed beside the dining table, and sat down elegantly. Everyone, have breakfast. After eating, let's go around the holy city. All your consumption today will be paid by the Holy Night Cult. It's a compensation for your hard work for 4 years. People all respect the strong, and today's female paladins obviously cooperated a lot. There was no objection to Wright's proposal. After everyone had breakfast together, Wright led a group of female knights and the 3 beautiful girls out of the manor and headed towards the commercial street. It must be said that the Holy Roses, who were still marching in a neat pace, became a beautiful scenery on the streets of the holy city. Wright didn't mind at all that they had to line up when shopping. Sure enough, when they really arrived at the commercial street, all the girls of the Holy Rose were dumbfounded. How prosperous it is. How lively. There were all kinds of strange shops, a dazzling array of goods, and a crowd of people. The neat and uniform Holy Roses seemed out of place. Let's have fun. Helen, come here. When they arrived at this crowded place, Wright suddenly took advantage of the situation and called away the deputy leader Helen. The 3 beautiful girls looked at each other, and immediately each of them pulled 3 or 4 female knights and directly disappeared into the crowd. The remaining girls had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk in. 36 people, in front of the flood of tourists on the commercial street, were just like a drop of water flowing into the sea, and were digested completely in the blink of an eye. The shop owners on the commercial street received an order from Grandad as early as yesterday to entertain these Holy Rose female knights. The huge commercial street was like a kaleidoscope filled with sugar-coated bullets. From the first step they took here, the girls were destined to be completely lost here. When Helen came back, it was too late. In that case, why not go in and have some fun? Wright stood beside Helen with his hands behind his back. I don't know what Vanessa told you, but if you want to defeat me, you have to understand me first, right? This is the place I built. As a qualified deputy commander, even if it is to collect intelligence from the enemy, you have to go in and take a look, right? Helen swallowed her saliva and finally took a step in the infinite entanglement. Then, she was swallowed up by the secular crowd without even a splash. Wright smiled and walked towards the commercial street, but as soon as he raised his foot, he sensed a vague hostility and more than a trace. Is it finally going to bite? It's worth it that I have been laying the nest for so long. Wright suppressed his inner excitement and stepped into the bustling commercial street. Today, this is both a fish pond and a hunting ground. Chapter 74. All below the saint rank are ants. Please read. The fish came, but it didn't take the bait immediately. On the busy streets, Wright could still feel the vague murderous intent. It was obvious that the other party wanted to use the numerous ordinary people as a cover. On the one hand, it was to cover up their whereabouts and intentions, and on the other hand, it was to bet that Wright would be concerned about civilians and dare not go all out. But Wright was notorious, and these guys only dared to hang around on the periphery and did not dare to get too close. Wright was not in a hurry when he saw this, but walked around the street on his own. After the efforts of Lilith and the other two, the 36-member Holy Rose Knights have now been split into more than a dozen small groups. There are 2s and 3s, and there are also those who are alone. They strolled in this bustling street, and the dried and sealed girl's heart gradually began to sprout. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Wright would always appear by their side when necessary. With his own identity, he provided girls with better and better convenience. Do you like a piece of clothing, but can't afford it? Buy it. Pack all these pieces. This is my friend. Please take good care of her when you come next time. Limited edition desserts sold out. Make them. Ask the kitchen to make a batch of the best desserts. In addition to eating them yourself, you can also take them back for other sisters to try. Cosmetics are too expensive? Pack them up. Where is your boss lady? Call her out and say that a VIP has arrived. Ask her to help tailor the most professional skincare plan for these girls. While providing privileges to the girls of St. Rose, Wright would also chat with them. With such a big benefit from others, it is difficult for the girls to refuse. Although they were still very wary at the beginning, it is a pity. Gossip is the fourth instinct of human beings. What's more, Wright has many means. At first, he did not ask the St. Roses anything, but just give blindly. He would provide a lot of information and secrets, including the embarrassing stories of the high-level officials of the Holy See, the apprentice saints and some touching and inspiring stories about the development of this street from scratch to prosperity. People always have a desire to share, and kind people always feel indebted. After Wright's combination of punches, he soon became good friends with the girls. You know, Vanessa is the princess of the First Empire, the kind of person who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. But the girls of the Holy Rose Knights are mostly from poor families, and they have come to this point today with their own qualifications and hard work. To be honest, Wright has more common topics with them. After all, among all the saints, Wright has the worst background. He is a guy who doesn't know where he came from. Not to mention his parents and relatives, he doesn't even have an acquaintance. But he has come to this day step by step, and has become a person second only to the Pope. His experience is very inspiring for people from grassroots backgrounds. Moreover, he was kind to others, and had no prejudices about noble bloodline, so he could talk to everyone. When the conversation got heated, Wright only needed to guide the girls a little, and they would tell him all the information he wanted to know. After a while, in less than one morning, he had already got all the information about the Holy Rose Knights. After getting what he wanted, Wright found an opportunity to meet Lilith. Wright took Lilith to a cafe, ordered 2 drinks, and spoke first. How is it going on your side? Very smoothly. These girls are not wary. It is better to say that the long-term close training has greatly improved their vigilance in combat. But their vigilance in life is so low that it can be ignored. In other words, there are no profiteers on this street, otherwise it is not impossible for them to be fooled and bankrupt after a trip. There is a lot of information, but one thing is certain. They don't know about Vanessa's dealings with the remnants of the Truth Party. Wright nodded. I have the same conclusion here. They didn't even know about the Holy Dragon of Light until they set out. I guess Vanessa is a little afraid of them. Although she is the leader, the Holy Rose belongs to the Paladin Order, not the First Empire. After all, the reason they are loyal to Vanessa is not because Vanessa is a princess, but because she is also one of the apprentice saints. Therefore, she hides some things that go against the church from the members of the Knights. This is also good, so that they can cut off ties with Vanessa cleanly. After Wright finished speaking, he clapped his hands, drank the coffee brought by the waiter, and began to move his arms. Lilith, take care of those 2. I have to go to do business. Why are you so anxious? I've been waiting for so long, and they don't seem to want to attack. There's nothing I can do. If they don't come, I'll have to go. As he spoke, Wright's mental power exploded instantly, covering the entire huge commercial street in the blink of an eye, and easily locked onto 5 individuals who wanted to kill him. When these people realized something was wrong and wanted to turn around and flee, it was too late. Rays of holy light bloomed silently in their bodies, and in just a moment they lost control of their bodies and could only stand there stupidly. Wright selected the only 5th level strongman among the 5 and walked slowly towards him. You haven't even reached the saint rank, haven't realized the holy domain, and yet you dare come and assassinate me? Who says you people in the Tower of Truth don't understand humor? Below the saint rank, you are nothing but ants in my eyes. Don't try anymore. The muscles at the back of your neck have crushed your cervical vertebrae due to the rapid growth. In medical terms, it's hyperplegia. The usage of the modified holy healing technique is amazing, isn't it? Don't try to resist, otherwise the blood vessels in your brain will disobey. Be obedient, and I'll give you a quick death later. Wright walked up to the 5th rank master, helped him sit on a bench by the roadside, and put his other hand on the back of his head. Last time when that alchemist came to make fun of me, I showed the coverage of my mental power. Why did your leader send you to die? Or did he use the lives of the 5 of you as an invitation? It's really generous of the Tower of Truth. The moment his finger touched the back of the other party's head, Wright forcibly obtained the information in the other party's mind. In terms of soul memory, his skills are not as good as Lilith, who is a succubus. Every time it is used, it is destructive to the soul of the recipient. So generally before the conviction, Lilith is responsible for reading the soul information. But now, since they are enemies, Wright did not hold back at all. Underwater, with such a warm invitation, how can I break the appointment for this crazy slashing party? Wright condensed the Holy Raven and sent a message to the nearest patrol of the Holy New Army, asking them to deal with the 5 people, and then walked out of the commercial street on his own. In the deserted alley, Wright turned into a stream of light and soared into the sky, and in the blink of an eye he arrived outside the city wall. He glanced at the moat of the holy city and then went upstream along the river. Not long after flying, a huge lake appeared in front of him. The water surface was sparkling and the breeze was refreshing. Wright snapped his fingers and a powerful beam of light blasted a passage directly to the bottom of the lake. It was visible to the naked eye that there was a huge palace hidden at the bottom of the lake, and there was a thin layer of magic barrier protecting it. Found you. It's the end of the month. Double monthly tickets. Does anyone have any unused monthly tickets? Wrap them in breadcrumbs and fry them. The poor little author is crying with greed. We will put it on the shelves on New Year's Day, and then we will update it violently. Please support us. I heard that the first order is very important, please. Chapter 75. Let's start the slashing party. Is it a trap? Yes. Did the enemy set up a trap and open their pockets to wait for him to jump in? Yes. But Wright didn't care. He turned into a stream of light and rushed directly into the barrier. As soon as he landed, 5 saints rushed out and looked at Wright from a distance, their faces full of vigilance. Right. That's right. At least there must be saints. At least 5. Wright was happy in his heart. After seeing this configuration, he finally felt relieved. There must be a big fish in it. Your Highness, the Holy Sin is indeed an absolute strong man. He dared to come alone in this situation. That is obviously a trap. I really admire. Okay, forget about the greetings. Anyway, we are going to fight to the death. If I have anything to say, I will write it on paper and burn it for you. If you can get it. Wright spread his hands and the Sinlight greatsword appeared in his hand. As if sensing the boiling heart of the owner, the sword body of the Sinlight also slightly agitated. Appetizers, what are you waiting for? Come on. When Wright called them appetizers, the 5 saints were so angry that their facial features twisted into a ball. Saint level, that is a realm that ordinary people can never reach in their lifetime. Who can achieve saint level is not a genius picked from thousands. After becoming a saint, you can find a small country at random and be supported by the royal family as a top level combat force. 5 saints, a medium-sized country may not be able to put together. But in this man's eyes, they are just a small dish. Outrageous. It's simply outrageous. Let me do it. The magic swordsman among the five drew out two magic swords, one long and one short, and two blessing halos rose from his body and rushed straight towards Wright. Looking at the incoming enemy, Wright was extremely excited. He pointed the sin light in his hand at the other party and shouted loudly, "Holy light! Those enemies! Worth a fight!" But the power of the sin light greatsword surged. The next moment, Wright appeared in front of the magic swordsman with a holy fighting spirit all over his body and slashed with a fierce swing. The speed was so fast that no one present could react. So fast. Come. Too late. Hands, move quickly. The magic swordsman was a wind and thunder dual element. He was always confident in his speed, but his most proud advantage was easily suppressed by Wright. Boom. With a huge roar, the magic swordsman flew backwards like a cannonball and smashed the door of the hall. Idiot. Wright lightly brushed the sword with one hand, and the fluorescence splashed everywhere, and his words were full of contempt. Can you be faster than light? Sin light vibrated slightly, and was quite satisfied with Wright's performance just now. To be honest, I didn't have the chance to participate in the great battle that destroyed the Tower of Truth more than 100 years ago. This has always been a big regret of mine. After 3 years of traveling, I could only pick up sesame seeds and eat melon seeds to enjoy the taste. Today, I can finally enjoy it a little. After saying that, Wright rushed towards the enemy. As he approached, he shouted loudly, "Take a deep breath. Hold your breath and concentrate. Grit your teeth. Pay the utmost attention." Boom. Wright easily cut the door of the hall in half. The four saints narrowly avoided it, looking at this slightly crazy man with lingering fear. Because from now on, every second is a matter of life and death. Ha 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 ha. Seeing this, the leader of the five-man group shouted angrily, "Combined Sanctuary. Expand. Don't hold back. Go all out. Buzz buzz buzz." The domains of the two elemental magicians opened instantly and then embedded with each other, perfectly merging with the sanctuary of another arcane magician. The holy domain is the iconic ability of the saint-level strongman, representing that the saint-level strongman can get a glimpse of the power of the law and apply it. Different holy domains have different effects, but if you want different holy domains to be compatible with each other, first of all, the compatibility must not conflict, and secondly, it is a long period of coordinated practice. Unexpectedly, these three saints can also achieve the fusion of holy domains. Wright was very satisfied. Very good. It shows that you have really worked hard. Take your life. The magic swordsman who had just been hit hard also rushed out, plunged into the triple holy domain, and attacked Wright again. The wind was blowing, the thunder was stirring, and the entire holy domain was filled with boiling magma. As the magic swordsman attacked, the magma also turned into a human figure, following the magic swordsman to charge. Wright fought with the magic swordsman with the sin light in his hand, and easily suppressed the opponent. However, when he killed one of the magma puppets, the puppet exploded with a bang, and the power was not weaker than a 5th level magic. The magic swordsman pulled back, and quickly put on a layer of magma armor, and his aura was completely hidden. With his angry shout, all the magma puppets obtained his wind and thunder fighting spirit. For a moment, it was impossible to tell who was his real body. So that's it. Is this what you rely on? Wright made a sword flower with one hand. The domain effects of the four people work together. A good combination. What are you waiting for? Come together. The leader also roared, "Go. Go all out. Kill." Under the control of the arcane holy order, groups of magma puppets rushed towards Wright, and the wind and thunder magic swordsman mixed in, waiting for an opportunity to move. The Fire Holy Order and the Earth Holy Order maintained the holy domain, while chanting their own forbidden spells. Facing the fierce attack, Wright got ready. Fancy. Let you see the real use of the sin light. He took a deep breath and suddenly shouted loudly, "Heaven created all things to nourish man, but man has nothing to repay heaven. Kill. 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 Kill kill kill." The sin light greatsword suddenly burst out with terrifying energy, and with every word of killing from Light's mouth, this power would be raised by 1 level. With Light's sword strike, the terrifying power instantly submerged everything. Magma, puppets, wind, and thunder fighting spirit, and the fourfold fusion holy domain were all wiped out. Even the magic barrier on the periphery, to protect against the lake water, was completely shattered under this blow. The backflow of lake water rushed over, and Light casually set up a barrier of holy light to prevent the hole from being submerged. When the light dissipated, there was already nothing in front of him, and most of the hole turned to ashes. Monster! Monster! The two holy level magicians were vaporized on the spot, and the leader who had not taken action just now was holding two people in his hands, who were the magic swordsman and the arcane wizard. Light raised his eyebrows. So it's from the space department. It's rare. The space department can attack or defend, and combined with the saturation offensive of the four of them, it will indeed increase the threat by more than one level. But the fact is, one force can defeat 10 skills, and great strength can create miracles. The triple holy domain is indeed very powerful, but if the holy domain is directly raised, the people will be raised together. Isn't it over? Him? He's coming. Run away. At this time, the magic swordsman was so scared that he turned around and ran towards the depths of the hall. Seeing that the 5-man combination had been broken, the remaining two holy ranks could only turn around and run away. However, at this moment, Light's voice, which was like a deadly demonic sound, sounded behind them again. The silver saddle shines on the white horse, and it rustles like a meteor. Kill one person every 10 steps, and leave no trace for 1,000 miles. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.